everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm coming at you live today from America First Field down in Sandy, home of Real Salt Lake. Big announcement going out today about the future of Real Salt Lake in 2026, one of the premier sporting events of Utah sports history, potentially, going down right here at America First Field. Do we need a drum roll here, James? Is this something that we could, is there any kind of fanfare? I don't want my paltry, pathetic voice to be the only thing that's really bringing this to the people. But Leo Messi's coming to America First Field. Do I need to pause for effect? Because I just did. Inter Miami, Leo Messi, coming to Utah to take on Diego Luna and RSL at America First Field in 2026. You can get on the priority wait list right now at RSL.com for tickets. The greatest soccer player of all time, the reigning World Cup champion, yes, that Leo Messi, is coming to Sandy, Utah to play a game. So, RSL.com for ticketing details. We'll be talking about it on the show all day long. Show today and every day is brought to you by our friends over at Big Willie's. Big Willie's is Salt Lake City Sports Bar at 1717 South Main. Look, if you can't get yourself on that ticket list coming up next April, go ahead and go to Big Willie's to watch it. If you don't have Mammoth tickets tonight, you want to watch a little hockey, Big Willie's is your answer. They've got an excellent food menu. I've tried, I want to say, like 14 things on the menu now because they bring us food for the hot lunch occasionally. And I'm legitimately not lying to you here. Even the veggie burger was great. When you go to Big Willie's, tell them OC sent you. They're going to hook you up. They've got the craft cocktails. They've got the partnerships with the Outlaw Distillery for the spirits. They've got a collection of rare bourbons if you're feeling extra fancy on any given day. 1717 South Main, Salt Lake City's sports bar. And, of course, any sport you want to watch, they've got all of the television packages necessary. Interesting weekend of college football coming up. You've got massive games in the Big 12 Conference. You've got massive games around the country. The BYU-Cincinnati game is as impactful, really, as any game that's on the slate this weekend. This is the weekend that a lot of the SEC teams that are, in that nationally relevant college football playoff conversation are having their little their off week. They're not quite a bye week. You know what I'm talking about, where they take on like Furman or the Citadel or somebody like that. But there are Texas A&M, for example, is playing Samford, not Stanford. Samford. Credit to Oklahoma and Missouri. That's going to be a fun game. That's ABC 10 a.m. kickoff. As a Utah fan, you're rooting aggressively for Missouri. As a BYU fan, you're rooting aggressively for Missouri in that one. Miami's got Virginia Tech. Miami is, they are right now the squeakiest wheel in the college football playoff rankings. They're the team that sees what's going on with Notre Dame, who they beat head-to-head, being ahead of them in the rankings, and they're like, wait, how does that happen? Why is that something that we should have to deal with? I'm putting a poll question out there on Twitter because this is one of those things that we talk about with the quirks of scheduling, and I think that if you're an athletic director, if you're a coach, if you're anyone who's involved in college football scheduling at all, and we're talking about power conferences, we're talking about the big-time players, there's an advantage to scheduling your most impactful resume builder games, which, of course, can be your most impactful and unfortunate losing games, right? Do that in the first 3 weeks of the season. From a television rating standpoint, from a ticket sales standpoint, all that stuff, it's great. Now, I understand that there are conference opponents that there's supposed to be non-conference games at the beginning of the year, right? So Utah, Texas Tech being when Utah played Texas Tech early, like very early, right off the bat in conference play, that's actually a big advantage for Utah because even though it was a loss and it ended up looking more like a blowout than it actually was, but it was a bad loss, right? It was a bad loss that now the committee looks at and says, well, that was forever ago. Miami, one of their best wins of the season happened in the first game of the year, right? They beat Notre Dame 27-24, first game of the year. And their most recent loss came only 3 weeks ago on the road at SMU, which is kind of a bad loss. So their best win is being balanced out by recency bias with a bad loss. The reason I bring this up in the Miami-Notre Dame context is because the question I have for you, and I'm putting it at Real OC Sports on Twitter, should the College Football Playoff Committee, the powers that be, care more about your resume, right? Care more about the big wins, care more about the schedule, or care more about what you look like now? Should they care more about the thing we've talked about we've talked about this with Jeff Schwartz. We bandied it back and forth just between us. You've weighed in on it at 877-353-0700. Should the College Football Playoff Committee be looking at, for a top 12, especially the at-large bids, right? Because the automatic qualifiers are the automatic qualifiers, and they're going to get in no matter what. Should they be looking at it and saying, all right, well, I really like this Notre Dame team because right now they look good. That's the message they're sending. Or should they say, I really like this Miami team because they look good, but also they beat Notre Dame, so they should have a better ranking than Notre Dame. If I were a Miami Hurricanes fan right now, I would be up in arms. I'd be going like, how can you put Notre Dame higher than us? We beat them. And the counter argument to that, of course, is like, well, you beat them in August, man. And nobody is the same team today that they were in August. And this committee has, in the past and even this year, shown that they have some appreciation of nuance and context. And Notre Dame right now is a team on a win streak. They're a two-loss team, yes. And that, ultimately, the win-loss column is where a lot of judgments are made, especially when fans you don't have the ability to watch every single game every single weekend, right? So they're on a win streak that is pretty darn convincing because it includes USC, who the committee gets higher and higher on. It includes Pitt, who, I don't think they're going to finish the season ranked, so I don't know how much of a quality win we're going to talk about that. But Notre Dame's resume is effectively Utah's resume, but with a more impressive win streak. It's 8 in a row for the Irish that they've won. And they've got Syracuse and Stanford. Both of those are 3-7 teams at this point. There's nothing left to bolster the Irish, and the committee knows that. And so the committee put them where they are now so that even if they have to bump down a spot or two because of mobility for, I don't know, say Miami, Georgia Tech, whoever that ACC champion ends up being, you can still look at Notre Dame and say, you're good. We got you. It's a television show. It's a ratings generator, right? Notre Dame's one of the biggest brands in all of college football. And this committee can justify its opinion by saying, well, look how good they are right now. Miami, first game of the year, and Texas A&M, second game of the year, both losses. You've rattled off 8 straight wins since then. And by the way, Miami and Texas A&M are both pretty darn good teams. Now, you've heard me say before, I am not a fan of the quality loss argument. That's not where I like to live. I don't think that anyone should be allowed to live there. I don't think if the best thing on your resume is quality losses, that you should be rewarded for that. But it's also a lot easier to justify things that are simple to read, that are measured like wins, losses, right? How do you tell, and again, devil's advocate is coming out here. How do you tell anybody, how do you tell Miami right now that Utah is better than you, because the committee thinks, for now, Utah's better than Miami. They're ranked one spot, Utah's ranked one spot higher than the Miami Hurricanes, right? I told you why they make that, the committee can make that case about Notre Dame, even with the head-to-head going on. But for Utah, a lot of where Utah's at right now is based on the second option of my Twitter poll. Are you ranking someone based on their resume, or are you ranking someone based on the eye test, based on the metrics, based on recency bias, what you see right now, what you think this team is right now? That's where Utah's living today. And if there is some backward, convoluted scenario in which Utah finds itself in the top 10 at the end of this season by winning this week and winning next week, you're living on that, because your best win for Utah right now is Cincinnati. And I guess in the committee's mind, they can probably also say, well, no, their best win is Arizona State, because we like Arizona State. Arizona State is back in the top 25. We think this is a really good team. Whichever of those two wins, right? Your Utah resume is very similar to the Notre Dame resume, but with less of a win streak. Now, as a Utah fan, I understand that you're probably sitting there going, well, I hope the committee indexes toward whatever helps my team the best. But that's not how you really form your opinions as a sports fan, right? If you take Utah out of it and you apply it to Miami and Notre Dame, that's the best way to see how you really feel. Well, in the head-to-head, because there's a very real scenario, and we've talked about this for several weeks now, where Utah, because of recency bias, Utah, because of what they've done in these last several games where they're winning by 30-plus points, Utah because of the metrics, Utah because of the numbers, where you're a top 10 offense and a top 10 scoring defense in the country, because the eyeball test tells you, well, look at this, man. They've got two dual-threat quarterbacks, so even with the starter banged up, this Bird Ficklin kid comes in and they don't miss a beat, and they look at it and they say, this is one of the best 5 offensive lines in all of football, which erases pretty much every other problem. They've got a really good defense. Their pass efficiency defense, which is going to matter in this college football playoff, all right, is way up there. They've got some elite. They got at least one elite pass rusher, and they've got one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. Like, that is a lot more nuanced and I think realistic way, appreciable way to make a decision on where a team should be ranked at this point in the season. But also, it's harder to quantify. It's harder to justify, because there are fans out there, and I probably count myself among these more often, where you just say, well, okay, cool, we love all those metrics, we love all those narrative builders, but what happened when they won the games? What happened when they played the games? What happened when they matched up with the good teams on their schedule? And the best teams on Utah's schedule right now are justifiably, correctly ranked ahead of you, but it might not end up that way at the end of the year because of what the committee is saying in the Miami and Notre Dame scenario. If BYU squeaks by in these next 2 games and then loses in the conference championship game, and Utah has been dominating their way to the end, and the committee says, for whatever reason, we think that the Big 12 really does deserve 2 teams this year, looking at the way everything else shakes out, ACC a one-bid league. Let's say Oklahoma loses this weekend, so that opens up another spot. Now you're like, okay, who's that extra spot going to go to? It's not going to go to the next best ACC team. It's not going to go to the next best SEC team, although they probably would err on that side. It might go to USC, depending on what USC can do, as a 4th Big 10 team. Let's hope that's not the case. If the committee's like, okay, a second Big 12 squad, who's it going to be? This committee, based on what we're seeing to this point, might say, well, I know BYU won the head-to-head, but right now, today, as we're making our final college football playoff committee decision, Utah looks better. So where are you? Are you resume or, well, they look better? If I put you in that room as a member of the college football playoff committee, are you raising your hand when who wants Notre Dame to be the higher ranked team? Well, they look better right now. 8-game win streak, convincing. Just this last week, very convincing win against a ranked team in Pitt. And Miami's good. No disrespect to the Hurricanes. Again, this is the hypothetical conversation happening in the room. But man, they lost 3 weeks ago to a bad SMU team. It's not a quality loss. It's a bad loss. And Notre Dame's losses, while not as impressive as Miami's wins, are quality losses. And they're quality losses that happened an eternity ago. I'm not asking you to tell me if Utah's going to make it into the college football playoff. I'm asking you to let me know where you as a fan think that the integrity of the game lies when it comes to these decisions. I'm asking you to tell me if you would rather have the Miami-Notre Dame debate favor Notre Dame or Miami. It gets too personal when you make it Utah and BYU, right? You're going to say Utah every single time, regardless of the justification. And if you're a BYU fan, you're going to say BYU every time, regardless of the justification. So take those two teams out of it. Take your red and your blue out of it and make it the distant blue blood programs, or borderline blue blood in Miami's case, of all right, it's Notre Dame and it's Miami. And the resume favors Miami, but the recency bias and the what do they look like now favors Notre Dame. Where do you stand as a college football fan? Because it's all going to come out in the wash, yes, but this is something that you kind of have to decide your fan principles as the whole situation is happening. And it's going to shape how disappointed you are one way or another. Because if you think that Utah's only option to make it into the college football playoff was already squandered, or you think Utah's only option to make it into the Big 12 championship game was already lost in those head-to-head matchups, then you're probably just like, okay, cool, let's finish this out. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's see what happens after the season. There's a bunch of storylines. Can you retain athletes? Is Kyle Whittingham going to stay? All that kind of stuff. It's a different mentality than if you've got this, like, tightness in your chest hoping for something bigger, something grander, and a photo finish, so to speak, to this Utah football season. Separate the Utes and the Cougs out of this thing and tell me if you are a bigger fan of rewarding resume or of rewarding what you see on the field and your projection, and bolster that projection with whatever, with the numbers, with the score differentials, with all of that. And say, because in Notre Dame and Miami's case, the difference between them and BYU and Utah, Notre Dame and Miami played that game so long ago that it's easy to be like, well, Notre Dame's a totally different team right now. How different of a team is Utah right now than when they played BYU 4 weeks ago? If you're a Coug fan, you're like, no, they're the same, and we're the same. Even with our loss, we're still the same, and you're still the same. And we won that one, so there's been slight changes, but not enough changes. 0331 says, feels like committee says there's all these tools they use to rank the teams, so there's always an argument for the teams that they want in there. AKA Notre Dame and anyone in the SEC. Okay. So 0331, and I'm not arguing against you. I'm not saying that this is not the case, but you probably, maybe, potentially feel like the committee only uses what is favoring Utah right now so they can justify putting their favorites in. Because if it was all resume-based and it was all win-loss based, it might come out with something else. 0910, our resident BYU fan, says, as the BYU fan, I do not want to play Utah at all in the current state of both teams. Okay, so right now, that Utah fans would like nothing better than to rematch BYU today. They would like nothing better than to rematch Texas Tech, I think. But the only thing you would like better than rematching Texas Tech would be rematching BYU because, first of all, the game was a lot closer. Second of all, nobody in the Utah fan base feels like you're going to make the same mistakes twice, that you're going to turn the ball over, you're going to get an ejection, you're going to miss a tackle here, whatever, right? All those impactful plays that we ranted about for a whole week after the BYU-Utah game, maybe you're like, those don't happen again. And if you're a BYU fan, like our resident BYU fan tuning in and listening, and we appreciate you immensely, you're probably alone in this Utah wasteland as a BYU fan. But there's some acknowledgement, at least in the BYU fan base, is like, that's not the right team to play right now. Utah's not the right team to want to play right now. They're red hot. And hopefully they stay that way this week. The nature of college football is such that what have you done for me lately is really, truly everything. I, as someone who does a show on the Utah radio station, am pretty confident that Utah is on a roll and they're going to stay on this roll. But Kansas State's dangerous. 6251 says, fancy stats and algorithms are nice to have, but at the end of the day, it should be based on wins or losses when the games are played and the brand names. All right. I mean, again, that's where my mind and heart goes in a lot of these cases. Now, the exception and the justification and the mental gymnastics I'm guilty of is I look at and I say, all right, cool. Do I really think that Texas Tech is 3 scores better than Utah? I do not. I don't. You wouldn't be able to convince me of that. You play that game again 10 times, I don't think you get another result like the one we saw. I just don't. Now, is Utah going to win 9 of those 10? Probably not. Texas Tech's a really good team. If Utah somehow makes it back to the conference championship game, I think they are equipped right now to beat Texas Tech. If that game was happening this weekend, I would, again, perhaps foolishly, pick Utah to beat Tech, saying, no, you're not going to make those same mistakes again. It's not going to look like that again. And by the way, Baron Morton is not as good as Hammond in a matchup against Utah. I fully acknowledge that if you're like a person in Lubbock listening right now, what is this guy talking about? We smashed Utah in that game. There were 6.5 really bad minutes of that game for Utah. Other than that, it was incredibly tight. And that's, even as the words come out of my mouth, it sounds like a fan justification. But the stats and the algorithms and the metrics and look at their efficiency and look at how many rush yards they're putting up right now, those things do matter, but they don't matter as much as what we see when we play the games. So right now, Texas Tech and BYU are both ranked above Utah, and they should be. But like, nobody out there thinks that Arizona State should be ranked higher than Texas Tech, even though Arizona State won that head-to-head. Nobody's looking at that and saying, well, they're the better team. Arizona State's the better team there. And that's where our perception gets all convoluted and flawed and twisted up. We screw that up every single time. Well, head-to-head should matter. Okay, well, if the head-to-head is all that matters to you, is Arizona State a better team than Texas Tech? No, of course not. Because we've got a larger sample size of Tech's greatness. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Except when they played, does a player on Arizona State's team walk up to a Texas Tech player and say, you guys are actually better than us, but we just happen to beat you. We're lucky. No, right? So it's just an odd thing where we have to at some point, and this is why I give the committee a little bit of grace. And it's working out for Utah right now. But there are teams with losses, even some of these one-loss teams, like Texas Tech, where that one loss came against a team that you don't actually believe is better. Ole Miss's loss is to Georgia. I think most people think that that Georgia's actually better than Ole Miss. The rankings say so, and I think your eyes probably tell you the same thing. Oregon's lone loss is to Indiana. The rankings and probably your eyes say that Indiana's a better team than Oregon. Oklahoma's got 2 losses, Texas and Ole Miss. Do we think Texas is actually better than Oklahoma? Because remember, wins and losses are the thing that are supposed to matter most. So where are your – how far does that carry you, I guess is what I'm asking. Well, Texas has 3 losses, and Oklahoma's only got 2 losses. So the wins and the losses matter most. But in that head-to-head matchup, Texas was better, but they're not actually better. You could do all these brain backflips if you really want to. Vanderbilt's still in the conversation right now. Vanderbilt's got 2 losses. One of those came to Alabama. The other one came to Texas. So do you believe that Vanderbilt is a better team than Texas, or that Texas is a better team than Vanderbilt? Because Texas beat Vanderbilt, right? USC. Right now, USC's got 2 losses. USC's first loss of the season came to Illinois. Do you think that Illinois is a better team than USC? Again, the wins and losses thing absolutely matters, and it should matter. But how far does it carry you? Because there is the any given Sunday, any given Saturday, any given Friday night factor in college football, certainly, in the NFL even, in high school, goodness gracious. I'm asking the question, what should the committee index on? Is it all wins and losses for you, or is it at least partially and significantly in some ways enough that you're looking at it and saying, hey, guys, Vanderbilt's a better team right now, or Miami's a better team right now, or Notre Dame truly is a better team right now like the committee says they are, or Utah actually is a better team right now. Then no one's going to say it about Tech. Some people are trying to say it about BYU. And if the next 2 weeks play out the way that we think they are, or the next weeks play out the way that they think they will, the committee itself might have to make that decision, despite the head-to-head. They've already made that head-to-head decision on Notre Dame and Miami. At Real OC Sports to answer the question, 877-353-0700. Love to see it. And before we take a break, 38-69 with a great point. The fun thing about the NFL playoffs is a hot team can make a great run. Want to see the same in the college playoffs. You're absolutely right. How many times we're seeing this right now in the NHL. We've seen it twice now with the Kansas City Chiefs. We're maybe seeing it this season with the Baltimore Ravens, right? Where it's just like, well, yeah. They're not that good until it matters, and then suddenly they're great. College football is set up in a way that you don't have that wiggle room. You don't have that, well, we'll just turn it on later kind of a situation. But this college football playoff committee and expanded format maybe brings a little bit of that in. And maybe that's where your hope is attached as a Utah football fan. Sean O'Connell Show brought to you today and every day by our friends at Big Willie's. We take a break. We come back with our resident NBA guru, Gordy Chiesa, on a Thursday. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92 on FM. We're down here at America First Field. There's a major announcement happening today in the world of soccer, and it pertains to the local greatness here in Sandy, so we'll get to that. Right now we check in with our resident NBA guru, Gordy Chiesa, and the conversation is brought to you by our friends over at Aladdin Industries, Utah's Velux dealer. Gordy, welcome again. How are you?
Sean, I'm doing well. Thank you.
140-126 against the Lakers the other night. This Utah Jazz team continues, even in losses, to score a lot of points. And, you know, it was LeBron James coming back. He played 30 minutes in this one. He finished with 11 points. Obviously, that's not probably the anywhere near the ceiling of what we get out of LeBron this year. But your thoughts on the Jazz welcoming LeBron back to this 2025 season?
Well, the Jazz had some good moments during the game, but with that third quarter, it was really been an Achilles heel for the Jazz. So the question for the Lakers, who right now are trying to ingrain back again LeBron into the lineup, where how can he play at a high level with now Luka Doncic, who's being definitely the first option, and then a close second or third is Austin Reeves, and he can do it. So we mentioned the other day about the mantles being passed on to Luka by the Lakers. And LeBron, one of the greatest players of all time, he's a 1 or 2 next to Michael or 2-1 next to Michael, how you want to word it, is that LeBron is ready for this task right now. And so from the Jazz point of view, ironically, Sean, the Jazz play the Lakers again on Sunday here in Salt Lake City. So we see LeBron again front and center. He did well. First game, as far as that, he was a little bit tentative as far as scoring, but his passing was sensational, and the Lakers really going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
What did you make Ace Bailey's 23 starting minutes in this game?
Oh, it's good. No, Ace is doing fine. The answer is, again, he's so young. I say this all the time to fans that I meet and greet on the street and stuff, how young he is. He's just 19 years old. I mean, so he did fine. I mean, so think about Ace Bailey's world. He grew up idolizing LeBron James, and suddenly he's playing against him. I mean, just think about their magnitude. He might have LeBron James's poster in his bedroom growing up, and that's where you have to understand how young these guys are, and also how brilliant LeBron is as far as the play in his 23rd season. So let's put it in context that LeBron has played more years in the NBA than Ace Bailey's been on Earth.
It's really insane.
It's insane for both people in both directions. LeBron's longevity, brilliance, and Ace Bailey's young fella talent. So quickly, here's the metrics of Ace. He's played in all 14 games for the Jazz this year. The Jazz are right now 5-9. He's averaging 8.7 points per game. He's averaging 3.4 rebounds, and he's getting 20.3 minutes per game. He's shooting a wobbly 30.4 from threes, so he's got to improve that. He's got to take more measured threes as far as not being contested. So I'm not saying don't shoot him. I'm just saying that the defense is running at him. Shot fake and go by him and get into a middle game until you make that three-point shot. And then the last part about that, defensively, they're picking on him. So he's been in early foul trouble, and the reason why is technique, stance, physicality, all the above. That's a learning process, and by the way, it's painful.
Based on my research that took about 5 seconds to Google here, Gordy, approximately 25% of players in the NBA were born after LeBron started playing in the NBA.
Sure. It's amazing.
Yeah, according to Google, about 25% of players are 23 years old or younger. That's not only could he have, he could be the father for all these kids, but he's been playing for longer than they've been alive, as you just pointed out. And that's not just like our own Ace Bailey. That's Victor Wembanyama. That's Paulo Banchero. That's some of these guys that are like big stars or emerging big stars in the league, and LeBron is still doing it at a clip that, I mean, we'll see how the season plays out, but it's not like he's limping along here.
No, he's not, and he's still in the top 12 players in the NBA. You can debate that whether he's 9, 10, 11, which is all part of the beauty of playing in a sport. But he is absolutely brilliant. We've never seen a guy play that long, that high level. And by the way, everyone's trying to stop him. So it's not a question of he's just trying to hang on. People are game planning him, trying to stop him. So again, the Lakers in good position. They're ready to play as far as an all-around game, and they are battling. They're getting good minutes out of Ayton, DeAndre Ayton, and he's had a new career arc as far as leaving his former team, meaning the Suns and the Trailblazers, and now going to the Jazz and to the Lakers, and that's been a good addition for the Lakers in the front court.
And we've seen guys, land in Salt Lake City and have a little bit of a resurgence. We've seen guys find a new home in the NBA, and the fit's just better, and they end up playing better or whatever. Why does that happen? Where does that come from? Is it more a commentary about the new spot where things are better, or the old spot where things were maybe not ideal?
It's more playing in a system. So, for example, usually speaking, unfortunately, I say this very sadly, is that during the NBA draft, it's all based on knockout talent. Who's the most talented guys, which is commendable. However, it doesn't mean that players are going to play well in that system. If you have so many talented guys that play alike and look alike, as far as their body frame, they're all going to want to be the first or second option offensively, and that creates a mess. I just described right now the Washington Wizards, teams like that. They're a mess because they have the exact same Brooklyn Nets. They have the exact same players. Kings, the exact same players. Pelicans, the exact same players. Grizzlies, the exact same players. So when a guy gets traded to a new team, it's a new lease on life. It's a jump start in his career. But the most important thing is that the things that his former team were telling him to do, is we'll say defensively, he will attempt to do it on the next team. And offensively, he's going to be able to, if it's an assistant team, he'll be able to get the ball more in space. And the last part about that is so important when you're traded, is that you adjust to your new team versus your new team adjusts to you. It doesn't work that way. And so I've always counseled players over the years, once you go to a new team, you've got to adjust to the dynamics of the team and then see where you are as far as offensively and also defensively.
Gordy Chiez is our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking a little NBA basketball as we do on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. We've talked about, you like this in-season tournament, right? And we're getting closer to the elimination rounds here.
Oh, very much. Absolutely. And you mentioned about soccer before. That was Adam Silver's idea to make it an in-season, almost like European soccer tournament. And for the listeners right now, I'll go quickly through it. The NBA has never had more fan interest in games in December and also November and December. And that the teams and the fans and the patrons, they're engaged. And that's the catchword. The fans are engaged. So, for example, tomorrow night's game, Jazz play Thunder in the Delta Center. It'll be that cool-looking floor. And that fans have said to me they're going to the game to see the floor, which I understand, besides the Thunder being the best team in basketball. And so the people are engaged. And, yes, it's in season, and there's economics involved. So, for example, the winning player share on a team that wins is $514.70. The losing share is $205,988. The semifinals losing share is $102,994, and that money, most times those players that make so much money, they do donate it to charity. Some of the players do donate it to charity, and if you're a two-way player, you get half that share. So if you're a guy in the NBA biting, fighting, clawing to make a roster, and you're on a two-way contract, the money is important. But the biggest thing is that the players have pride. It sounds so trivial, like who cares? This guy making $50 million a year. When you're on the court, it does matter. So this is the third year of the tournament. The first time in 2023, Lakers won the championship. LeBron was the MVP. Last year, the Bucks won the championship, and Giannis was the MVP. So it does matter, and it's based on a soccer format, and I'm geeked about it.
Jalen Brunson is back for the Knicks. Does he make them the contender that they want to be?
Yes, and the Knicks done a good job. they are playing many more guys on their bench, and that was the problem with Tom Thibodeau, where they had that 5 or 6 man rotation, and numbers basically 8, 9, 10 really played in any sort of minutes, and it hurt them. So now with Mike Brown being the coach, Jalen Brunson, who's off injury, came back right now. He's still averaging 25 points per game and a high level of assists. But the Knicks right now have a much more depth as far as playing. Knicks are right now 9-5, third place in the East, and those Raptors who are underrated, they're second. Who'd have thought, Sean, that we were talking about the Raptors being second place in the East, only second to the Detroit Pistons being the second best record in basketball at 13-2. So that's the beauty of the NBA, is that these teams get better, and some teams that once were successful get lesser because they forget what it takes to win. And that's what team effort defensively, but also you have to have talent, and the talent's got to play as a unit.
Gordon, I know that football and basketball are wildly different. The season length makes them especially wildly different. But, these college football playoff rankings come out, and the committee is showing that head-to-head matchups obviously matter, win-loss records matter, and they've also, with the Notre Dame-Miami equation, they've said, yeah, but that's not all that matters, the win-loss and the head-to-head, because right now Notre Dame looks better to us than Miami does. And, of course, Miami's up in arms about it, and Notre Dame is probably happy about it. In the basketball sense, when you're trying to, you're prognosticating on who's going to come out in a game, and especially when you get closer to the playoffs, how much is it who you are right now versus what we've seen from you over the course of the season?
In playoff basketball, it's the whole length of the season. It's how you overcome adversity. Certain matchup teams. So, example, you should beat the lesser teams both home and away. But it's those key games when you play against someone that's equal to you as far as talent. So, for example, in the Thunder right now, they're 15-1. The Jazz are playing tomorrow night. They're undefeated at home and 8-1 on the road. So they are a juggernaut. But when they play against the Nuggets and the Rockets and the T-Wolves and the Spurs and the Lakers, the top 6 teams in the West, that's how you judge. So it does matter. And in season, it's an indicator of what you got to work for, because there's nothing regular about the postseason versus the regular season. Nothing. So much is the matchups, and so much who's playing well, and your second unit's got to play for you relatively at a high level to keep yourself in the game as you rest some of the starters. There's nothing like it. Also, at Notre Dame, Sean, I'm a devout Catholic. However, Notre Dame does get a lot of benefit of the doubt for the last 60
100%.
Years in football. I really mean it.
100%.
Yeah, I'm a devout Catholic. However, I'm not. I have to admit that Notre Dame gets every benefit of the doubt. The Fighting Irish, et cetera, et cetera. So all I know is that when you play somebody and you beat them, in the present tense, you're better than them.
What's the list today, Gordy?
The list today is about the Lakers. Yeah, Sean, there's so many people from SoCal that live in Salt Lake City the last 25 years. So this is a short list of the all-time greatest ever L.A. Minneapolis Laker players. Note, the Laker franchise relocated from Minneapolis, the city of the lakes, to Los Angeles for the 1960-61 season. The Lakers have won the second most NBA championships at 17. The hated Boston Celtics by the Laker fans are number one with 18 championships. The Lakers have their 70 championships. They have 5 crowns in Minneapolis and 12 titles in the city of the Angels. The following list is based on only the players' body of work accomplishments while wearing the purple and gold Lakers. So again, it's when they play for the Lakers, these players. Baker's dozen. Number 13, Pau Gasol, Hall of Famer, 2 championships. Number 12, all-time greatest Laker, Michael Cooper, generational defensive player, Hall of Fame inductee with 5 NBA championships. Number 11, George Mikan, Hall of Fame, 5 with Minnesota, 5 championships. Number 10, the only Southpaw on this list, Sean. I know you're a Southpaw, so you know you appreciate this. Gail Goodrich, Hall of Famer, 1 championship. Number 9, now with the Lakers only, Wilt Chamberlain, the 9th greatest Laker, Hall of Famer, obviously, with 1 championship. Number 8, James Worthy in the Hall of Fame, 3 NBA titles. Number 7, Elgin Baylor, one of the first ever great acrobatic player in the NBA, Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, no NBA championships. Number 6, Shaquille O'Neal in the Hall of Fame, 3 NBA titles with the Lakers. Number 5, LeBron James is the 5th greatest Laker as we speak. This is LeBron's 8th season with the Lakers, 1 championship with LA in the 2020 NBA bubble. Number 4, one of the all-time greatest players, Jerry West, Hall of Famer, 1 title. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hall of Famer, with the Lakers, 5 championships. The 2nd greatest Laker of all time is Magic Johnson, Hall of Famer, with 5 championships. And the greatest Laker of all time, he's in the Hall of Fame. He played for 20 years with the Lakers. He has 5 NBA titles. One of the greatest players also of all time, Kobe Bryant. That's my list of the Lakers, of the world's Lakers' greatest players, and it is showtime too.
And that's, again, that was just what they did in a Lakers uniform. That franchise made some people's whole careers. if you are LeBron James and you're only, what, the 5th best Laker ever?
Yeah,
that
5th best, yeah.
It tells you what that franchise has been in the world of basketball.
Yeah, so Jerry West, Kareem, Magic, and Kobe are ahead of him. I mean, it's like amazing how good these teams are. And that's why they franchise, that's why they draft these guys or trade for them, and they have a high level of winning. And it's winning is hard. Sean, as you know well, it's hard to win back-to-back titles. So the Thunder are going to try to be champions back-to-back, and history tells us for the last 7 years now, there's been 7 different champions. 19 Raptors, 20 Lakers, 21 Bucks, 2022 Warriors, 2023 Nuggets, 2024 Celtics, and 2025 Thunder. That's the history speaking back-to-back.
Gordy, you're the man. Always appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sean. Peace out. Stay well.
That's Gordy Chiesa, brought to you by Aladdin Industries, your Utah Velux dealer. Hot Lunch is coming up next. We'll tell you why I'm down here at America First Field, the home of RSLs. The Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Hot lunch today, brought to you by our friends at BGR. That's Burgers Grilled Right. 1202 East Wilmington in the heart of Sugar House. Tell them that you heard about it on the Sean O'Connell Show. Tell them OC sent you. They're going to give you a discount on your lunch order. They've got the regular fries. They've got the sweet potato fries. They've got the tots. They've got the mix of all three of them. And today, James Peterson has stolen my hot lunch. He's back in our Broadway studios doubling down, which I respect because I would do the exact same thing. Is it true you've got a lamb burger or a lamb burger bowl, the Greek harissa lamb? Is that what we're looking at, James?
Yeah, it's a Greek harissa lamb burger bowl. So it's basically a salad. It's got the spring mix, tomato, raw red onion, cucumber, tzatziki sauce, and of course the Greek harissa lamb there. It's so good, OC, and I hope you're really jealous that you don't get to try any, and only I do.
I am very jealous. I'm a big lamb fan, and I was looking forward to having this. But you know what? That's fine. Head out to BGR. They will make any burger into a burger bowl for you. So if you're carb conscious and you don't want the buns, if you're trying to, overcompensate for what is coming in the holiday season, you're trying to lean out now so you can pack it back on for some winter hibernation, head over to BGR, order the burger, order the fries, or if not, order the healthier option, get the burger bowl, and try the Greek harissa lamb because James is eating all of mine. But you know what? Like I said, it's all's fair in the hot lunch. All right, we're down here at America First Field in Sandy, my old stomping grounds. This is God's country down here. My beloved Jordan High is, of course, right across the street. And Trey Fitzgerald, our good friend from RSL, hops on air with us to talk about, we got big news coming. It's coming at 1 o'clock. We're going to really bust this stuff out at 1 o'clock. But good things happening not only for RSL, not only for the Utah soccer community, but for the league in general.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Sean. Really appreciate it. I'm sorry we couldn't release the news at 11 o'clock to fill your show. But we'll have Steve Starks, the CEO of the Larry H. Miller Company, our new owners for about the last 7 months. He will be hosting a media session with our good buddy Brian Dunseth, John Kimball, the president of RSL on the business side. We'll have DeAndre Yedlin, Xavier Gozo here, Nick Ramondo, Jason Kreis, Kurt Schmid, laundry list of people to really talk about what we think is going to be an amazing year of soccer in 2026 here in Sandy. We have several world stars coming through our stadium. It's obviously a FIFA World Cup year here in North America next year. After the World Cup draw on December 5th, we'll find out which nation is going to call our Harriman facility home for 5 or 6 weeks, however long they're alive. So just a lot of cool things happening for our sport in the state of Utah.
When that happens and when we get the announcement, I mean, look, they're going to be dialed in on the World Cup, but is there going to be any kind of access? Are we planning a community event so people can watch practices out there in Harriman?
Yeah.
Because being adjacent to, touching anything World Cup related, I think is going to be a major event for sports fans here.
Yeah, and I think we want to do anything and everything, right, to celebrate the World Cup. We're going to have watch parties certainly for the U.S., hoping that Diego Luna is part of that U.S. contingent next summer. We've got Brian Ojeda that'll be playing for Paraguay, we think, from RSL. I think the Harriman experience, if it's Tunisia, it's probably a little different than if it's Argentina that's out there.
Sure.
It's all coming together. We won't really know exactly what we can and cannot do until after this December 5th draw and who the nation is. But, I think can we have RSL play, an exhibition game against whoever's here in the stadium before they have to really kind of focus in on their World Cup. Maybe those windows between the MLS season and the World Cup window, maybe those will work, maybe they won't. We'll find out about our Leagues Cup schedule. We'll find out about the Open Cup schedule. So a lot of cups, as Spence likes to remind us whenever he's talking soccer. But
he loves it.
And I know you have a soft spot for our sport more so than a lot of people on the media side in our market. But, looking at what Messi's done in Miami, what Son has done at LAFC in the last few months, Thomas Muller, the German legend up in Vancouver, LAFC and Vancouver play in the playoffs. The MLS playoffs are still going on. I know some of us have kind of tuned out.
It is the longest season
Dude,
in
it's
America.
I mean, like, our guys report for preseason January 10th, and with the World Cup hiatus, I think MLS Cup, this isn't confirmed, but I think MLS Cup is going to be like December 18th next year. So it's a long season. You saw the news probably a couple weeks ago that in 2027, MLS is flipping to an international calendar. So that aligns the transfer windows with the rest of the world. So presumably we won't have to sell an Andres Gomez in the middle of our season like we did a couple years ago. We'll have higher pedigree, better quality players to buy in that summer window. The playoffs will be in May. I think the big question on everybody's mind is, okay, how is the league going to bridge between MLS Cup in December of 26 and really that 27 season that's not going to start until late July or early August? So I think the commissioner in his announcement last week talked about, a 14-game transitional season, or a sprint season is what they're calling it. And then that 14-game, which is basically a half season, is going to determine Leagues Cup qualification, Open Cup, all that kind of stuff.
We were just talking about this in the NBA. It's like, they're doing this in-season tournament that actually we'll get that at the beginning of 27, it sounds like, in MLS.
Yeah, and, look, I know our fans and many fans in cold weather or northern markets are concerned, right? Because with this new schedule format starting in the middle of 27, you're going to have more games in November and February than we've traditionally had. So there'll be hopefully some infrastructure upgrades for, underfield heating, keeping the fans warmer than maybe they are now in certain areas. And it's probably easier to do here than it is in Minneapolis or Toronto or Montreal. But we don't have to go to Dallas and Houston and Orlando and Miami in July and August anymore. That's a blessing in disguise that very few are talking about. Our Harriman facility, we're lucky we have a ton of grass fields. We've got 3 big turf fields, including 2 indoors. But what are we going to need to do to protect our players from having to be on turf from, November through March every year? So these are the kinds of things that I know Steve Starks, the Miller family, and Miller Sports Entertainment folks are working with Jason Kreis, Kurt Schmid, Pablo Mastroeni, our soccer side, on solving some of these long-term issues.
We're down here at America First Field for the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm just going to say this. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble. Now is a really, really good time to be refreshing RSL.com and making sure that if there's a situation where you need to be front of line for tickets for something important happening next year, just take my word for this, all right? We got an announcement coming in 55 minutes. We're going to have Dunny come on, Ryan Dunseth, and then, of course, if we get a chance, we'll catch up with Nick Raimondo as well. RSL.com details. I promise this is going to be something you want to be a part of. Trey, you're the man. Thanks for having us.
You're the man, OC. Thanks for being here.
Dishing with Devin Dampier, QB1 from the University of Utah, joins us next on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Well, welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM. You know what time it is. Dishing with Dev. We do it every single week. Starting quarterback for your University of Utah football team, Devin Dampier, joins us courtesy of Culligan Water, Salt Lake City. Taste the Culligan difference. Polylift Concrete Lifting and Piering, America First Credit Union, and ARUP Blood Services. Give local, save local. Devin Dampier, welcome back once again. How are you?
I'm doing good. You gotten more smooth with the little intro, huh?
Bro, I finally memorized all the sponsors, which is something I should be better at this far into my radio career, but here we are. All right. I feel like I can ask you about this because Kyle Whittingham has been a lot more transparent about it.
For sure.
Devin Dampier is banged up. Now, you've toughed it out for I don't know how many games in a row. You did it again against Baylor. Give us some insight. How are you actually feeling? What is the thing that's bugging you? And how do you know as the practice week progresses how close to 100% you're going to feel on a Saturday?
Yeah. I guess I won't talk specific, but just banged up for sure. To be honest, last game kind of helped me with Bird stepping up and Wei-Sean having the game they did, and I didn't have to run as much. So yeah, to be honest, it was like another day of healing. I didn't walk out the game hurting more. So I practiced Tuesday. This has been the first time I've done that in a long time, taking all the reps. So yeah, it kind of worked out for me at the end.
All right, so the first Tuesday you've practiced in a while, and look, you've still performed at the level a starter is supposed to perform without a full week of practice preparation. When physically you can't be out there taking those reps, how do you make sure you get the mental rep? How do you make sure that you're focusing in and still improving or still doing what you need to be doing to get ready, anticipating that, well, maybe on Wednesday I will be practicing, maybe on Thursday I will be practicing or whatever?
Yeah, just being more dialed in film for sure. Just knowing what's gonna happen. But also, yeah, I mean, I'm right when Bird goes in to fill my place. I'm right behind him. I'm like 10 yards behind, seeing the same thing he's seeing every play, and just kind of playing out what I would do in that situation and things like that. So, yeah, the mental reps are definitely being taken.
Is this something you've dealt with before, high school, at New Mexico, whatever, where your body's just not as dialed in as you need it to be, as healthy as you need it to be over the course of a season, and you just had to kind of grit through it, or is this new for you?
Yeah, at New Mexico, I had 2 little AC sprains on my shoulders. So after every game, normally Monday I couldn't do anything. Tuesday I wouldn't do any long passes, and then normally by Wednesday I'd be good. So something a little similar to last year, but to this extent, I'm definitely fighting a little bit more than I was last year.
So a lot of times you see people who are kind of nagged by an injury, and you could tell they're nagged by an injury, right? It like casts a little cloud over the disposition. Now, maybe you just put on a happy face when you're here with us, but it seems like it hasn't affected you too negatively in a mental sense. It can be really taxing to be like constantly in pain, to be, I don't know, having a hard time getting out of bed, whatever it is. How have you kind of stayed positive through a less than ideal physical situation?
Yeah, obviously mentally I'm not where I want to be. It's annoying sometimes for sure, but man, when your team steps up to things I can't do, there's other guys doing that at a very high level. Winning games is the most important thing to me, always has been. So that's when we're winning games, that's what's fun to me. That's what puts a smile on my face. Seeing the boys happy after the games, that's honestly my fulfillment. So when I just get to see that, why not be able to smile through my pains?
It feels like a pretty unique situation where you still have that implicit trust from your coaching staff and from your teammates, because it's a very easy thing. We see fan bases do it all the time. Oh, he's not 100%. Who's the backup? Why can't we get this guy in? Whatever. And it's been managed, I think, as close to perfect as it can be. Yes, Bird is being used, and yes, we saw Bird start a game, and it was really good to see. But, your teammates are still responding to you the way that you would expect a fully healthy starter to be responded to.
Yeah, just, again, that starts from the beginning. Just being able to earn my team's trust since the beginning, and Just the way they look at me, especially where we're at right now. I kind of don't have that choice to be slacking down and things like that. I'm leading on this team, and, I got to be able to show that every day. But, yeah, my boys are behind my back. I love that. Birds behind my back. So, whatever's going on in our locker room, that's what's important to me. Obviously, there's outside noise and whatnot, but what's going on with the people I see every day is definitely what stands out to me.
Is it making you, being a little banged up and not being able to use your legs as much, is it making you a better quarterback in some ways? Because, I come from that combat sports world, right? My left hand was everything for me. If you'd then told me, like, hey, you can only throw that left hand 2 or 3 times, that changes everything, right? Your ability to run, your quickness, your elusiveness is a huge weapon for you as a football player. And if that is hampered, is it making you a better quarterback, a better decision maker, I don't know, a more accurate passer, whatever?
Yeah, I would definitely say just my pocket presence and knowing protection, who I need to throw off of if blitz comes, things like that. I definitely say that's probably shot up just a bit, just being able to take more drop back and plays like that. So I definitely say there's a little bit of its benefit from it.
We saw some huge plays. Obviously, team that puts up 55 points. You had a bunch of really good plays against Baylor. Saw one of my favorite things that I hope will remain part of this play, the little pop passes where they're almost like that old Florida Tim Tebow jump pass. Bentley got all the way open for that touchdown. And I guess we've seen it maybe in a game or two earlier in the year. What do you love that play? Do you like that play? Is that a play that you think you could hit more often?
Yeah. It's one of those plays where when we get all those big guys in there, and we're pretty good at getting the first down. I think we're pretty high on efficiency of on third down, so teams have to respect that. So they tend to lose a little bit of the other guys, and that down just went ahead and popped open. It was pretty nice to throw it.
I know I ask you about the offensive line every week, but this group, especially in these last 3 weeks, especially in this last game, it's pretty clear that they've decided, like, hey, Dev might not be 100%. Our wide receiving core might have some questions or whatever. We're just going to go out. We're going to help win these games. 380 yards of rushing is stupid in a Power 4 game. You're not supposed to be able to do that to a team that's as good as Baylor. And that's a defensive-minded head coach, by the way, on the other side. So Baylor is just tortured by giving up that many rushing yards. And I ask you about them every week, like I said, but just give me a sense of this offensive line, the leadership, their presence in practice, and just the weapon they are on the football field, because there were several plays. I think one of Bird's big runs and Wayshawn's big run, they didn't get touched. They didn't have to break a tackle. The holes were there.
Yeah. Performance-wise, especially just talking about this game, I think Way and Bird, they both were able to get to the safeties, untouched, that's huge for O-line to be able to get a hat on a hat and actually block it good also. So huge credit to them. But, man, they're the same guy. They're the same guys every day, whether it's film, whether it's practice. They're the energy. They're so energetic. Loving, they care for one another. So, I'm happy to be behind them every game. I go to work for those boys, and they do for me as well. So,
Dishing with Dev here on the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Taste the Culligan difference. Polylift Concrete Lifting and Piering, ARUP Blood Services, Give Local, Save Local, and America First Credit Union. So, Kansas State this week. What are you seeing on film from this Kansas State Wildcats team? They're kind of like Baylor in the sense that there's a lot of talent on this team. It hasn't all come together. They don't have the win-loss record that they would like, but still a dangerous team.
Yeah, kind of exactly what you said. I feel like that's what I've seen. They look like a very solid group, especially, when they are clicking, and some games they don't. So, very respectable opponent that we're going against. At the end of the day, we still got to do our part to stay winned out.
So the coaching staff has to do the thing where it's like, hey, 1 week at a time, we don't pay attention to these college football rankings. The playoff rankings are kind of the whole part of our job. It's like the whole thing for us, right? Right now, you guys are being shown a lot of respect. The Big 12 Conference is being shown a lot of respect, and it feels like the path is at least partially open, either back into the conference championship game, depending on some of the results, or even around the conference championship game into national prominence, into potentially college football playoff spot. And I know you focus on Kansas State and just going out and getting the win. But what is that conversation in the locker room? Like when that ranking comes out, what are you saying to each other when you go sit in the lockers and you're getting taped up and whatever else?
Yeah, man, our program, we do treat everything one game at a time, to be completely honest.
That's the boring answer. I know, like
it is though. It truly is. Like as soon as we seen 12, we're like, all right, got to bump one more up this week. Let's do what we do. Let's get this big win, and it should keep clicking down. And I think the two options obviously are BYU gets beat by Cincinnati, and that kind of moves us into that conference championship, or if they win out, then they get to play Texas Tech. Hopefully,
sure, that
loss allows us to bump in. It kind of sounds like that's our two scenarios. So, win out is what's going to put us in that situation. So,
right.
We know one game at a time is should do us good.
So, all right, with all that in mind, you got to win out, and you're preparing yourself for a Kansas State team that we've covered is pretty solid and can be dangerous, but it's been back-to-back offensive performances, dominant performances. How do you maintain that going into a game like this one, where the stakes increasingly get higher and higher, where the opponent in some ways can be, more difficult, at least in some scenarios? How do you maintain this level of performance from, by the way, a program that typically has not had dominant offenses? It's always been the defense, and then the offense kind of like comes along. How do you maintain what has been happening these last 3 weeks?
And that all starts from the culture that we built from the beginning, and just the mentality going into this week. Coach Witt's made it a big point that don't be complacent right now. We're not where we want to be yet, so don't make it seem like we are. I think everybody took that message, and especially with the practice yesterday, I thought guys came out firing like we normally do, and shoot, we're ready. We're ready.
It is senior day on Saturday. It's an afternoon game, and for a lot of guys who've been very important to this program, this is the last time they're going to play on the home field. It's a different scenario for you because you're a newcomer to the program, but you're also in that leadership role. What are the emotions going to be like on Saturday for some of those guys, and for you watching some of those guys who've kind of laid the foundation that you've obviously benefited from?
Yeah, man, very high. Those guys are very happy that they're here as a Utah U, and man, it shows every day. So. I'm thankful for those guys. They definitely set the standard this year. They've been in the program for multiple years, so they knew the standard. They set it. And yeah, I mean, we follow behind those guys. So it's great to be able to be on the field with them one last time in Rice Eccles, and it'll be huge for them to leave off with a win.
Are you generally like sentimental and emotional about stuff like that? Like, obviously you don't have to be on set, but like maybe you will be. That your whole offensive line has the potential to leave. Right. This could be the last home game for all those guys. Are you an emotional type? Are you like a crier? Are you someone like your final high school game or whatever where you're crying about it or something like that?
Yeah. Man, I don't remember the last time I've cried, sadly. But. Yeah, I don't cry too often, but
no movies make you cry.
Man, me and Jaron, just the quarterback center relationship. It's different than any other positions. So yeah, man, I'm very happy for him. Very happy for our friendship. It's gonna go a long way. So that's definitely a guy. I'm gonna feel it in my heart when he walks with his family and stuff. So
That's actually an interesting one. Jaron Kump he's been around. It feels like he's been around for a decade, and I can't decide if it's more meaningful from a fan perspective, from an observer perspective, when a guy comes through and he's had like the greatest career, right? Like your 4 years at the program have been championship years or whatever, or if it's a guy who's had the highest highs and the lowest lows. Jaron Kump's been through both.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Big time success in the Pac-12 conference, and then the transition, and last year being not what everyone hoped it would be, and then to see him and everyone else kind of go out on a high note this year would be, I think, really impactful.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very impressive to see those guys that made it to the top, had some struggle, and then get right back up there, find a way to battle through things, and he's definitely a warrior for sure. So
yeah. Another media thing that's happening this week, and I wonder how the team is even talking about it, if they are. There's speculation that like this is Kyle Whittingham's last home game at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Is he going to retire this year? That's been a storyline all year long. And Coach Witt was asked about it this week. He said, "I'm not going to let you know. I will be here one day. I will be gone the next day." Knowing Kyle Whittingham the way we do, I think if anything, rather than telling people, he would try to hide it if he had intentions. Do you get any kind of sense one way or another?
I do not. I have no clue what Headman's gonna do, but I think he set it up beautiful for Coach Galley to take over when that time comes. But man, we got no clue. We got no clue what's up to.
He's so mysterious, Kyle Whittingham. All right, I want to ask you something that doesn't apply to Utah football, and we're very grateful, actually. It doesn't apply to Utah football right now. But we talked last week about the coaching carousel and how movement's already happening. Virginia Tech hired James Franklin. So there's going to be a sort of reorganization of the coaching world. And Ole Miss is in a position right now where it looks like they're headed to the college football playoff, right? And their head coach is being named as the top candidate at LSU, at Florida. His family's flying on private jets to go look at houses and stuff like that in those other places. And we've seen this before. It was when Mario Cristobal was going to Miami from Oregon, right? That was a really good Oregon team. And players try to stay focused. You can't fully ignore what's happening in the news cycle, though. If your coach's wife and kids are in another city looking at houses, that's got to affect you mentally some way or another. Thankfully, it doesn't apply to Utah football. But if you're an Ole Miss player right now, or a player at any one of these teams that's got any of this situation going on right now, how do you handle that? How do you look at – I know it's a business. There's guys on your own team who are probably looking to see where they're going to be next year, et cetera, et cetera. But you're a playoff team potentially. You're a team that's in that conversation. And the coach is like, maybe I'll be here next year, maybe I won't. How do you handle it?
Yeah, that's the tough world of college football right now. Shoot. I would say, you would hope the team's culture is obviously it starts with the coaches, but hopefully you hope it's player-led by, that by playoff time. You
sure.
would hope that the players are the reason why the culture's there and the standards are there. So losing the head coach definitely sucks, but as a team, I feel like it kind of brings you together even more. To go out there without that person, the leader's got to step up a lot more, and the trust has got to be there. So I hope that's there for them, and they can overcome that if that's what happens.
I would be mad. As a player, I would be mad. And, would I try to prepare the same way, play the same way? Certainly. But would you be looking at me like, man, you're telling us buy in 100%, be all about the team first, and now you're out here buying houses in Gainesville?
Yeah, no, it ain't. I don't think anybody's going to be happy. I'll say that for sure. I don't think anybody's happy that he's leaving, but shoot, I hope his closest people ask him why he's leaving, and he gives them an answer they can somewhat settle in their heart that they're okay with it.
And look, maybe he's staying. We don't know. But just the rumor mill and the buzz around it seems like he's the next head man at Florida. And while his team, by the way, still has to go play their in-state rivalry game. They got to play the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. They got to find a way to win a playoff game or two potentially. It's just an insane situation.
Right. Yeah, it is.
But it's the world of college football right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other part of this, the other side of this, is player movement, right? We're getting to the time of year where I imagine tampering is at an all-time high. Agents are getting phone calls. Agents are making phone calls, whatever. Do you know about any of that noise happening with the Utah football team, with yourself? I mean, you played really well this year. I imagine there's some teams just like, hey, Coach Lane Kiffin's going to be at Florida. Devin, come to Florida with. I mean, how do you handle that? Is it something you have to handle?
Yeah, man, I think that's part of the college football game right now. I think every team is dealing with that for sure right now. For us, I haven't heard anything. I haven't been approached, but I can imagine under the lights, things are probably going on right now. So you just hope players don't make decisions off first instinct. Hopefully they come up to me before an offensive player wants to do anything. Man, I hate seeing guys go without getting a word to talk to them. But yeah, I mean that's the game of college football right now.
So there is like the business aspect where you just have to be happy for guys getting opportunities and things like that. But you do want an opportunity. If someone, you've got plenty of, especially young talent on this team that's kind of emerged. Like, I'm going to use Daniel Bray. I'm not reporting anything. This is just a hypothetical,
for sure.
Right? Daniel Bray comes to you just like, man, I just got this phone call, Dev, and whoever, Oregon wants me, or USC wants me, or Texas wants me. I'm thinking about it. I love being at Utah. Like, what would you say in a situation like that?
Man, I always ask what people's priorities are, what your end goal is, because I think certain situations can drift you to the league, and I think certain situations can possibly hurt your career at the end of the day. So just depends on what the priority, what you feel like you need right now, and I just always try to address that with what I feel is somewhat best for your future. But at the end of the day, you make what you feel is right. I never want to be the reason you didn't do something and something goes bad and it's blamed on me, but I'm definitely going to give my input for sure.
And these are my words, not Devin Dampier's words, but we do not have really any strong example of a player leaving Utah, transferring to somewhere else, and having their career go better after they left. Find one if you can and send it to me, 877-353-0700. The guys who left this year in the transfer portal, and I don't relish this. I'm not celebrating this. I'm just stating it as a fact. When you leave this Utah football program, you don't develop better. You don't develop faster. You don't typically have a better result or a better career after you leave. It just has not happened for the guys that have left the program.
Yeah, man, you would think when you hear that, you would stay and just realize, this place is this is a place that's going to develop you and make you the best player you can be. So, man, that's why you hold Utah at such a high standard as a school, as a program, you would think. So, yeah, you just hope people look into that when, they're going to make their decisions, and hopefully they're for sure about their decisions also.
All right, the last question is going to be a tough one, but it's something that has come up conversationally these last couple of weeks. Do you think that you and Bird Ficklin are both on the roster in 2026?
Man, we talk about it all the time. We hope so. That's the goal. Has been the goal since the beginning. So, man, yeah, that's what we've been hoping for. No doubt about it. We hope everything works out after the season's over and whatnot. So, yeah, that's my input on it.
Well, I will echo that sentiment. I think we all hope that is the case. That's Dish It with Dev. Good luck against Kansas State.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Conversation with Devin Dampier brought to you every single week by Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Taste the Culligan difference. Polylift Concrete Lifting and Piering, ARUP Blood Services, Give Local, Save Local, and America First Credit Union. Lots left to get to on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
Take a look for the truck with the duck. All of your plumbing and drain cleaning needs. We're down here at America First Field in Sandy for the Sean O'Connell Show. I can't tell you exactly why. We will find out in about 20 minutes. But I will say this. Now is a perfect time to go to rsl.com and get yourself on the priority list for tickets for 2026, okay? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You're going to want to be part of something special that's happening with this RSL club. What a distinct honor to welcome Brian Dunseth to the Sean O'Connell Show for the very first time. I've actually been an incredibly bad friend. We haven't seen each other in so many years.
Long,
It's been a really, really long time.
So long.
You're still incredibly fashionable and have great shoes, which
you.
is one of the signatures.
You as well.
Yeah. What's new, man?
What's new, man? Just got back from U.S. men's national team duty, covering Diego Luna and Mauricio Pochettino and company. We were started up 2-1 win against Paraguay up in Philadelphia. And talk about, like, the difference in packing when you're going to Philadelphia to sit outside for the better part of 3 hours and then going to Tampa in Florida.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out how to structure my challenge of being on the road because I hate packing a bag. I hate checking a bag in. So carry-ons were great. Down to Tampa, Diego scores. A first-choice Uruguayan squad. Loco Bielsa, who was the manager that Mauricio Pochettino, as a player, played the most for, whether you're talking about Rosario Central, you're talking about Espanyol, you're talking about the Argentine national team. And he's a part of that Bielsa umbrella. And for those that don't know, there's a great documentary about Marcelo Bielsa and his time during Leeds United head coaching reign, where he's such a hyper-focused individual that the fans decided to paint a line from his house to the stadium because he was so well known for just walking down and looking straight, like not looking straight ahead, just going over tactics in his mind, that he kept getting lost in Leeds. So they decided to paint a trail for him to make it to his office. But, yeah, huge win against Uruguay. We were asking for the statement win. We got the statement win for the U.S. men's national team. 5-1 the other night. And I'll tell you what, Mauricio Pochettino's got some decisions to make, but Diego Luna has put himself perfectly in place for not just for that March window, but for making this U.S. men's national team roster come June.
When does the real, like, hype and anticipation build for you that, you know, a North American World Cup is happening? Because we're getting there. The draw's in, 15 days?
Yeah.
And, you know, you're getting the buzz, and it's starting to settle in. We were talking with Trey earlier about how, you know, there's going to be probably, you know, as many as 3 clubs here in Utah training during this time out at Harriman, maybe up at the University of Utah, maybe running around on America First Field right behind us here. Are you already fired up for it?
I am, because I've lived through the power of what a World Cup looks like in 1994. You know, a kid and growing up in Southern California. You know, I was donating my time at the LA Convention Center because of the power of the World Cup. I couldn't afford tickets. We didn't have enough money. But on the days that the U.S. weren't playing, I would drive down to the Rose Bowl, park at the very top, walk in all to the gully, and stand outside the stadium just to feel the energy and feel the camaraderie of soccer fans and the passion. You know, a couple months later, I signed with Major League Soccer, a couple years later, and I'm playing next to Alexi Lalas, who lived the power of a World Cup by scoring in the World Cup, goes to Padova over in Serie A, scores against AC Milan, scores against Inter Milan, speaks Italian. Then I get to be his center back partner at the New England Revolution. So to see kind of the building blocks and now exponentially feel the power of what this World Cup's going to be in an expanded format here in the United States is nothing short of extraordinary. And as much as people, you know, are maybe unfamiliar with the idea of what the power of a World Cup looks like, I would say it's effectively the Olympics on steroids, especially of what it's going to look like here in the United States. So I can't wait. We're roughly 205 days out. There's only going to be 4 more games for the U.S. men's national team before
Between
that
now
very
and then.
first game. Yeah,
Wow.
2 games in March. You'll have a game late May, early June, and then you're right into the World Cup. So, yeah, man, right around the corner.
I've never been to a soccer World Cup. I was calling fights in France a couple years ago while the Rugby World Cup was happening, and I love rugby. I was like, I got to go to a game while I'm here.
Yeah.
The only game that was being played while I was in country, because I was there for a very short window, was the two worst teams in the tournament, literally. It was Uruguay versus Namibia. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go. The stadium is going to be empty, but I'll be able to check the box that I went to a Rugby World Cup game. And I was dead wrong about the energy. I was dead wrong about the attendance. There were probably, a few thousand Namibian fans and probably 2,000 or 3,000 Uruguayan fans. The stadium was full of rugby fans that had no dog in the fight, no horse in the race. They just were there to watch the sport.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable. And like you said, like the power of a World Cup, that's rugby. Rugby is way down the ladder compared to soccer, which of course is the global leader of all sports. So sitting there doing that on the train home, I was like, all right, how much are tickets going to be to a soccer World Cup?
Yeah.
My wife played college
A lot.
soccer. I'm like, but and if you have the means, if you have the hookups, it's something I got to try to make happen for, especially my wife who grew up playing soccer, because if that is even a tiny little microcosm of what a soccer World Cup's going to be, got to be there.
Well, and for those that paid attention to the summer, the FIFA Club World Cup, it was the first time that this tournament had been playing. And it's obviously domestic football. It's the PSGs and the Real Madrids and the Chelseas and those Bayern Munichs, those massive clubs. I was lucky enough to be the lead analyst with TNT on that. And to see, I called Lionel Messi's Inter Miami against PSG and the opening night against Al Ahly, and then getting to call the final and watching in New York at MetLife, 105,000 people watching that game against PSG and Chelsea. To be live in the stadium, it's like I guess the analogy I would use, it was like an appetizer for what this was going to look like. And to feel the power, and I know it took people that were more pessimists for the idea of this tournament happening, it took them a while to get into it. But then when you saw the momentum behind it, it was a glimmer of what we're going to see next summer. So, yeah, really, really excited. My kids are the same way. Like, Dad, how are we going to go to the World Cup? And I was like, we're going to be chilling on the couch. And like, why? And I was like, because it's going to be expensive.
Because hotels, flights, and tickets to the games are going to be
But
nuts.
to your point, being that outlier in France and watching Uruguay and Namibia, that's going to be a lot of fans.
Sure.
Just because they're going to be you got to realize, not you, but the fans have to realize this is Olympic level type of commitment and excitement, because people are going to show up and they may not know anyone from Uzbekistan or Haiti or Curacao, all incredible stories, but they're sure going to know Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and knowing that Christian Pulisic is going to be expected to lead the charge as Captain America for the United States. So all of these things are going to be incredibly exciting. And by the way, that's the bigger summer conversation. But in the midst of all of this, you've got Lionel Messi, you have Son Heung-min, you have Thomas Muller, you have Marco Reus, you have others coming in real time playing in Major League Soccer, coming here to America First Field. And in the midst of this, there's the conversation about the calendar change that's about to happen, where we're going to play one more regular season that we're used to in Major League Soccer. Then the start of 2027, you're going to have a short sprint season, which is going to be 14 games, go into an MLS Cup, and then that is then going to transition into the worldwide international window, which will align us with every other major league in the world, which, by the way, is then going to make it a lot easier for teams to bring in big players and to sell big players, but do it during windows that make sense for any team around the world.
For the novice soccer fan, tell me the impact of that, because it's a massive change for a league to realign its season.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're doing it for a good reason.
Well, they're doing it for a great reason, because the reality is that, there's been too many times, and Real Salt Lake included, where, they've been in negotiation with teams and been in negotiation with players. And at the end of the day, understanding that incrementally windows start to close. And obviously, we're pretty Premier League-centric here in the United States. But, for example, once the Premier League window closes, Serie A window closes, Bundesliga windows closes, La Liga windows closes, then all of a sudden Turkey's window's open for an extra week and a half. And then maybe another country's window's open for another week and a half. And so what would inevitably happen is that you would feel like your roster's set, and all of a sudden, hey, we're interested in your best player.
Sure.
And by the way, we'll give him like $5 million net. And the player's like, wait, what? Yeah,
Really?
I'm interested. Like Saudi could be coming, Qatar could be coming. Like all these different other countries. So what's going to be in the benefit is the alignment, is the scheduling. It's going to give greater opportunity for MLS teams to have bigger exposure. Like all of those tournaments where AC Milan or Real Madrid or Manchester United would come over to the United States and get all the credit cards and cash in. Now MLS can align themselves with those games and be a part of those bigger conversations. Leagues Cup, which is Liga MX against Major League Soccer, which has kind of been really pushed into this tighter summer window, now becomes a better expanded format. And you're going to have, I think, more fluctuation with the Mexican League. And then ultimately, there's like I don't know how much it's been talked about. It's not a dirty little secret, but it's been talked about that MLS will actually stay open a little bit longer than some of the other windows.
Oh.
So
you could be the poacher.
We could be the poacher instead of the poachee. So,
I like that.
Yeah, some great opportunities.
All of this is fascinating, but it's not why I'm here today at America First Field.
Yeah.
Big things happening for the league. Big things happening for RSL. Again, RSL.com. Get yourself on the priority wait list for tickets. We don't find out for 9 more minutes, but it's okay. You can tell me.
Yeah. What I would say is that your tease is absolutely correct. And the excitement level for what is about to happen in these next 9 minutes, 10 minutes, as I'm getting the eagle eye to like, yo, shut up. And by the way, get over here.
Yeah. You're being beckoned.
Yeah, we're being beckoned. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait. Great to see you, my man. It's been way too long. I appreciate you, bud.
Brian Dunseth, best in the business, soccer insider. We will be leading on him aggressively as we get ready for the North American World Cup that, of course, will take place next summer. RSL.com. Get yourself on a priority wait list for tickets. Do it right now. RSL.com. Eric Weddle is going to join us at the top of hour number 3. We're expected to have a conversation with Nick Raimondo at some point also in hour number 3. The Baskin-Robbins ice cream cake giveaway continues this week. Text us your score prediction for Utah-Kansas State at 877-353-0700. Pick the winner. Closest actual score is going to get a Baskin-Robbins ice cream cake that looks just like a turkey. You can use it for your Thanksgiving feast, or you could just sit in a corner and eat it by yourself. We're not going to judge. 877-353-0700 for your Utah-Kansas State score prediction. We'll take a quick one here. We'll come back with the PGA Tour leaderboard update from the RSM Challenge, and then we'll get to Eric Weddle. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. quick PGA Tour leaderboard update from the RSM Challenge, brought to you by Uinta Golf. The new TaylorMade QI35 woods are the fourth generation of carbon wood technology, a driver that unlocks a new level of distance, available at Uinta Golf. James Peterson back in our Broadway studios. What's the leaderboard update from the RSM Challenge?
Well, Davis Thompson is one of your leaders. He's co-leader right now with Rico Hoey. They've finished their first round. They're at 10 under. There's a group of 3 tied for third. Andrew Putnam's part of that group at 9 under. Also Andrew Novak. Shout out to the Andrews out there. Doug Gim. Huge names going on in this tournament. Let's see. Michael Thorbjornsson is one of 2 tied for 6 at 8 under. And then there's a bunch of guys tied for 8th at 7 under, including Ricky Castillo. And let's see. Ben Silverman. They're part of the group tied for 7th tied for 8th at 7 under, excuse me. Some of our local guys. Let's see if we got any local players in the field here. Zach Blair's been part of a lot of these recent tournaments here. He's a part of this one too. He's through round 1, tied for 41st at 4 under, so 6 shots off the lead. Pretty good start for him in the RSM Challenge. And that's your PGA Tour leaderboard update, OC, brought to you by Uinta Golf.
Go check out the new carbon wood technology from the QI35 woods. All right, the buzz, the scuttlebutt is reaching a crescendo down here at America First Field. A big announcement is coming in a matter of moments regarding big events happening, I believe, in 2026. Go to rsl.com right now for information and to get yourself on the priority ticketing list. Do not wait. Eric Weddle joins us on the other side. We'll recap what we've seen from this Utah football team to this point. Take a look at the Kansas State matchup ahead. And I got a couple NFL questions for him as well. Sean O'Connell Show, Hour 3 next on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome to hour number 3 on the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome in our good friend, the Utah football legend, the NFL legend, the head coach of the Rancho Bernardo Broncos. Eric Weddle joins us on Thursday. E-Dub, welcome back to the show. How are you?
What's up? I'm great. I'm alive. I wish I was prepared for a game, but I'm not. Unfortunately, we got our butts kicked by a really good team, and the off-season awaits. The improvements, the meetings, the exit interviews, et cetera, et cetera. So life is good, man. We're coming up. Support the youth, senior night, and watch them destroy whoever we're playing. Kansas or Kansas State, I can't remember.
It's Kansas State, yeah. The Wildcats.
Yeah. Either way, both of them are going to get it in back-to-back weeks.
That's exactly right. Let's look back a little bit on this Baylor game. It was kind of a wild one from a defensive standpoint for Utah. They gave up a ton of yards, not a ton of points, timely turnovers and some things like that. Got stops when they needed to. You've played hundreds of football games in your life. Did you ever have a game like this one where your defense, for whatever reason, the coverage, the tackling, the other team got a bunch of yards, but it was still a winning effort?
Yeah, you always go into the game expecting to play to your standard and to play at a high level, and sometimes you get in a game and the other guys get paid. Those other guys that got really good players and a really good quarterback and throw the ball around the ballpark, and so you don't want to get wrapped up in so much of being a Debbie Downer and wins. And yeah, were there plays that we could have done better? Of course, right? But in this point, you're just trying to win. You're just trying to continue the momentum and continue blowing teams out. And so I wouldn't. I've been a part of those games, and early on in my career, I would be just in the dumps and mad. And then the older you get, you just don't take for granted how hard it is to win, and how hard it is to have a complete team effort. And at times, in the past, a game like that we would have lost because our offense couldn't score. And so why don't we think about the positives and understand that we got an offense that's playing at a high clip right now and was able to put up a bunch of points that made the game out of hand.
And again, this week in the college football playoff rankings, the committee shows a lot of respect to Utah. They're up to 12 now. BYU's at 11, Utah's 12, Texas Tech firmly in the picture. And the conversation, the debate that is all dependent on winning out is that there's a path for Utah football if they continue to dominate this way. My question for you is how sustainable is what we're seeing? They've won by 30-plus in these last 3 games. Even when you do give up a bunch of yardage, you're still smashing the opposition. Does this feel like a team that's destined for big things if they continue to play this way?
Well, I think that's the only way is we keep dominating our opposition in the way that's impressive to the committee and gives us a legitimate shot. BYU's got a tough game against Cincinnati. I think they're going to win, and I think they'll have a rematch in the Big 12 championship, and they've had a great season. And who knows what's going to happen in that game? It's hard to beat a team twice, but I think our path, we need some help. But I think when it comes down to it, what will our resume look like at the end of the year and the way we are playing? I think the committee and the people watching us, that's why we're ranked so high. And if any of those teams slip up or we get in a real debate on who that last team is in, I think we'll have a good argument.
There's a couple ways, and we were talking about this earlier on the show. I put a question out on Twitter because it applies more directly to the Miami-Notre Dame debate, but it certainly applies to Utah as well. There's a couple ways the committee could look at this and say, all right, your resume says you're this, that you're a 2-loss team, or that you're a 3-loss team, or you're a 1-loss team. And then who did you lose to? There's that How many quality wins versus who did you lose to? That Miami's being punished, Notre Dame's being rewarded. When you're evaluating a team, like if I put you on that committee, how much are you judging purely based on the win column? How much are you judging based on the eyeball test? Because you're watching these games, you're seeing how the teams are trending. You know what the injury situations are. If I put you in that committee chair, how do you evaluate who belongs? Is it all based on the resume, or is it more based on the football you're seeing them play in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, you can go so many different directions. There is something to be said about what have you done lately and how are you playing. The bottom line is for the committee, you want to get the best 12 that are going to be competitive games, right? And that's just my opinion. I don't know if that's their sole focus, but that's what I would want for a viewership. I want to get the best teams. Now, I know the highest rank of the Power 5 gets in, like, I don't necessarily think they're the top 12 in the country, but you have to give those teams something to play for, right? So that means a better team is going to get bumped out, right? But I don't know. Like I think in the sight of like Notre Dame and Miami and then Utah and BYU, right? I think head-to-head matters. I do. I think ultimately if it came down to like Utah and BYU, I know a lot of people would say, well, Utah's playing better football. They're blowing teams out. Will they give whoever their opponent would be a better game than BYU? They could say yes or they could say no. I'm the proponent of, listen, BYU beat Utah head-to-head, so that has to hold weight, right? Like, how does it not? And the same thing for Notre Dame and Miami. But on the flip side, Notre Dame has lost to 2 top 10 teams or whatever it is, and Miami lost to 2 unranked teams. And quality of wins and strength of schedule, all that goes into it. There is no right answer. You just wish you would not be in this position where you just take care of business and win your conference. But we are in this position, and it's going to be up to those committee members to find the best 12 and go make the most of it.
One of the listeners astutely pointed out that, like, this is one of the major differences between NFL football and college football. Even with an expanded college football playoff, like these debates happen. In the NFL, you've got this system and teams that don't necessarily start the regular season strong. I mean, we're seeing it right now potentially with Baltimore, with Kansas City. We've seen it in the past where you don't have a particularly stellar start and you go on to be a Super Bowl contender. It's just a different format, and it's one of the biggest differences between NFL and college football. Which one do you like better? Which is a more pure – because in college football, you got to be great the whole way through. In the NFL, you can kind of have like 7 bad weeks and still win it all. What's a more pure form of competition?
Well, I think it's much more. You do have stronger divisions in the NFL from top to bottom, but overall, like it's much an even playing field across the NFL. Where you look at the SEC, I don't believe anyone in their right mind would think like if Indiana had to play what Alabama has had to do the last 5-6 weeks, having to play Georgia, Missouri, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and LSU, and then another one, like you can't tell me and sit here and tell me that they wouldn't have lost 1, 2, 3 games. Right, so the discrepancy of the SEC to the Big 12 to the Big 10, it's just not the same. And so the games and the level of what you have to get through to be in position is much more difficult. Where the NFL, it's like you're going to be playing good teams every week, right? The record may not show it, but if you end up – the cream always rises to the top over 16, 17 games, and if you win your division, you're automatically in. And then – it always works itself out. Where here, a one-loss team in the Big 10 or Big 12 compared to a 2-loss or even a 3-loss team in the SEC, there's arguments that the SEC team is better, and that's just the reality of it. So how do you find the right answer? I don't really know. I just know like some schedules and some conferences are from top to bottom. In this year, like maybe not necessarily in past years, but that holds weight.
Our conversation with Eric Weddle happens every single week. This week brought to you by our friends of Towers Point S Tires. They've got Black Friday sales coming up. Get $101 off instantly on any of the Platinum Partner brands. That's starting next week for the Black Friday sale. Go check out Tower Point S Tires in Clearfield. All right, let's focus in on this week for the University of Utah. It is senior day. It is the last home game of this year. It is a team that has been absolutely red hot. And look, there's a certain amount of emotion attached to playing your last game on the home field. Take us back to your last game at Rice-Eccles Stadium, and what do you remember about, the pregame, the ceremony, and the feelings you had knowing it would be your last ride in your home stadium?
Shoot. Honestly, I can't remember anything but losing. Yeah, I don't remember anything.
That tells us a lot about you as a competitor, if we're being honest.
It's anticlimactic. I'm sorry, but I can't remember pregame. I can't remember walking down and shaking Coach Witt's hand. I don't even remember. I know my family was there. I know Chanel was there, but I can't remember like what they were wearing and was I emotional? Was I not? I just remember we lost the game and that was like it, at home, like against our rival. Like that's the only thing that comes to my mind.
It's really interesting when you talk to a guy like you who played a lot of football after his college career, because that makes sense. You giving me that answer, knowing like, yeah, that wasn't the end of your journey, right? The last game of your football journey ended up being like the exact opposite of that. A home loss to your rival is painful. Going out with a Super Bowl victory, I imagine, is about as high as it gets, as good as it gets for any football player in the history of the sport. So
yeah, like I can remember that day, like it was yesterday. Now, mind you, that was only 3 or 4 years ago, not 20. But it's all relative, I guess.
Yeah, I bring that up because it's like for guys who their college career ends and then that's it. They probably have different memories. They probably have distinct memories. For someone who went on to play another, I mean, how many games did you play in your NFL career? Like 200?
Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
So
close to it.
You had another 12 years after that. Of course, that memory doesn't have to stick out the same way. Do you think this is Kyle Whittingham's last game at Rice-Eccles Stadium?
Man, that's a great question. I don't know anything from anything, so don't take what I say. The people that are listening, I haven't. When I was up there a couple weeks ago, I didn't bring it up to Coach Witt. It was just great to see him and talk about life and football and the team and whatnot. So I do think it'll be it. And so no better way to honor him and go freaking destroy the opponent and finish strong. I think he's been coaching for so long. I don't know. I think the timing's right. I could be wrong, but I think it'll be the last home game, and what a great day it'll be as long as we go out and dominate and put our best foot forward.
I'm with you. I think it is going to be. He has not given any indication, and in fact, he was asked about it, whether or not he would give any hints, and he was like, absolutely not. That's just the way he is. He doesn't want the fanfare. He doesn't want anyone to know that it's his last game and give him any special recognition. He just wants to go out and, like you said, have his team win a football game. Now, whether or not the timing is right, like you just said, that's a really interesting question in the world of college football right now, not just for Utah, but for someone who's been as long tenured as him and knowing all these changes and knowing how difficult it is to compete when you're in the financial place that Utah's in, and whether or not that factors into Coach Witt's decision or not, we'll see. But one of the kind of the ugly side of what's happening in college football right now, and you probably know just as much about this or more than I do because of your relationships, but like, you know, there's still a couple games left in the season. The transfer portal window doesn't open for, what is it, like another 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks. And yet the phone calls are already happening as coaches position themselves and the coaching carousel turns and there's all these different jobs open. There's guys on this Utah football team right now who are supposed to be back next year who are getting actively recruited to go somewhere else. How do we fix this mess, Eric Whittle?
Man, I don't. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some type of reprimand or consequences, suspensions, fines, something that eliminates this type of stuff. Like, I just know from our experience, like with Gage, and there are some schools that won't even reach out to Gage because it's against the rules. And there are some schools that hit him up all the time. And so, and that just like kind of says like, you know, a little bit like, all right. And then you go on to the fact, like, you're not even supposed to have communication with other players across different universities right now, but you know it's happening through a runner or a booster or a friend of a friend. And it's just slimy, if I'm being honest, and dirty. I'm sure everyone does it. So I just know, like, there is some integrity and there's some character that I would like, my name and what I stand for is much bigger than wins and losses. And I would hope, like, some people still value that. And so I don't know. I just think there has to be some type of repercussions that need to come for doing this type of stuff, because it's really painting a bad picture for football and what it's becoming and what it already has become. And, you know, I don't know if there is an answer to it, but you hope it changes.
Well, since your son is going to be, you know, he already is highly recruited, he's going to continue to be a highly recruited athlete. And, you know, I think from our conversations about it, you'll let him make his own decision, but obviously you can guide him from a very, very informed perspective. When we're watching this coaching carousel turn, and we're watching like Lane Kiffin shopping teams against one another on a bye week while his team's in the college football playoff picture, I mean, yes, that's part of the business. Yes, that's part of this slimy world of business in college football. But how do you guide your son, or if, you know, your daughter's playing soccer or volleyball, to based on like, hey, I think this person, this coach is going to be there and maybe stay there. I think this is the kind of person that you can attach yourself to. How do you handle that as a football dad, not just a player coach?
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see through the BS, and I think schools and coaches know that they can't BS me through Gage and talking to us and trying to sell something that I know isn't true. So anytime we've gone to schools or we're talking to coaches, you kind of see what they're really about. And Gage is he's very singular focused. So all the you know, the lights, the glamour, and this and that, like, he's just about ball and wants to be great and wants to be around like-minded people to be pushed and challenged. And so a lot of what the football has become with taking pictures in the uniforms and Lamborghinis and this and that, it's like that's not the program that he's ever going to be at. And I would highly suggest and tell him that this isn't, even if he did like that, like that's not you. You know, like, I go back to when I was a free agent after the Chargers, when I ended my career, and I had Dallas on one side and I had Baltimore on the other side, and two distinct differences in culture and programs, and the same deal was on the line, and I just felt like I was meant to be a Raven more so than a Cowboy. And it's just like, how do you maneuver that? How do you just understand those types of things? How do you get to the bottom line of what's best for you? And that's where I can come in and Chanel can come in and other people that he leans on, and understanding that coaches, you know, if they think they're going to talk to me or Gage and say something that's kind of off the wall, I'm going to know right away. So I don't know. I think I get the realest of the coaches right now, which is kind of nice.
So you're telling me that you're not going to do the thing that so many football recruit dads do, where they go and they dress in the team uniform to pose with their son on the recruiting trip? We're not going to get that from Eric Weddle?
Absolutely not. I told him, you're only going to put on one jersey, and that's whoever you commit to and you sign on the dotted line. You won't be doing these trying on jerseys and taking all these cool pictures. And it's like, one, that doesn't get him going, right? That doesn't excite him. That's not something he needs. But also I've reminded him, like, listen, you're not going to do that. My last name is attached to you. And that's just not – it's disrespectful, in my opinion, to put on another jersey that you may not be going to. And so we definitely won't be doing that. And we'll be going, you know, like we'll go and live it up. But we're not – that will definitely – you will never see that. And if so, then my son's going to have a rude awakening coming when he gets home, if that does happen.
Well, look,
but my money's on that he won't be doing that.
Well, I don't think he'll be doing it. I would pay good money to see you doing it, like some of these like weekend warrior dads. It's the funniest thing in the world when you got like the chubby dad putting on the skin tight uniform, and you're like, yeah.
Well, what's crazy is Chanel and I talk about this, like, we always see the families with the kid on these official visits, and I remember like when I went on my official visit to Utah, my parents didn't come. And so, like, it's kind of foreign to us to see, like, is that just the norm now? Like, I don't envision us going on an official visit where this is Gage's decision. It's not. Well, why do we need to be there, like, you know, being helicopter parents and trying to live through their kid? Like, it's very, very odd for us to see.
Yeah, it is funny, and I actually hadn't thought about that aspect of it. But yeah, you do see on recruiting trips, you see it's like a family affair now, and back in the day it wasn't like that.
It definitely wasn't. Well, so
it's probably a budget thing. Now the schools can afford to fly everyone out, and back in the day they were like, you get one coach ticket, kid.
Seriously. That's funny.
Do you like mock drafts or do you hate mock drafts?
I like them. Yeah, they're cool. They're fun.
So the latest ESPN mock draft from Matt Miller has two offensive tackles from the University of Utah going in the first round, Fano and then Lomu. Both of those guys have eligibility left. I mean, it felt like it was always a foregone conclusion that Spencer Fano was not going to be at the University of Utah next year. I've heard some talk that, like, Lomu isn't fully decided, but if he gets a first-round grade, he's got to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's really there's no reason. Now, certain positions, like if you're a guy that's going to be a second, third, or maybe a no draft, and a university is willing to pay you millions of dollars, especially at the quarterback position, then yeah, like, keep that dream alive knowing you don't got a future in the NFL. But those two are legit day one draftable, day one starters in the NFL. And then that just starts the clock of really hitting it if everything goes right, you play well, really you make that transcendent life money that you don't ever have to work again, right? Like a lot of these kids get enamored with the money that's coming in, which rightfully so. They never had money, so I'm not faulting them, but you're really making generational retirement money when you make it in the league and you hit your second contract. Like that is the goal. That's the way out. it's not a couple $100K here, a couple $100K there. Let me hang around college for 8 years. Like, if you're trying to maximize that, knowing that you're not good enough to play in the NFL, like, by all means do it and take advantage of the system. But for those two, there's should be no reason why, if they got first-round grades, which they both are going to have, that you go, you train, you go put your best foot forward, get drafted, and you are starting the clock on hopefully a long and illustrious NFL career.
Dub, it'll be great to see you again this weekend. I look forward to that, and as always, I appreciate your time on the show. Thank you, sir.
You got it, my friend. I started your book today. Pretty intense first chapter, I will say that.
Well,
and
it's gonna get slow at about page 40. You just got to push through, and then you'll like it again. All right.
Hey, I'm committed. Listen, when I start a book, whether it may take a year, I fully do not start another book until I finish the book I'm reading. So, I can't wait to continue on. I like where it's at. So I'm about 25 pages in.
All right, dude. I appreciate you so much. We'll see you this weekend.
You got it, bro. Love you, man.
Love you, dude. That's Eric Weddle, the NFL legend, the Utah football legend, the head coach of the Rancho Bernardo Broncos, who tragically fell in playoff action to that stupid Granite Hills High School. We hate them. All right, we're here at America First Field in Sandy right now. Big announcement just went out. We can finally talk about it. And we'll talk about it with one of the best to ever do it in goal, Nick Raimondo, in 3 minutes on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92 on FM. Everybody clear your calendars in 2026. Well, at least on April 22nd of 2026, because America First Field right here in Sandy, where we're broadcasting the show from today, will be hosting arguably the greatest soccer player of all time, the reigning World Cup champion, Leo Messi. Messi and Inter Miami coming in to take on Diego Luna and RSL at America First Field, April 22nd, 2026. Huge announcement. Incredibly exciting, especially in a World Cup year. Joining me on the show to talk about it, the RSL legend, Nick Raimondo. Nick, welcome to the show. How are
Sean, thanks for having me. I'm doing well. Thank you.
It's huge news.
Massive news. Going to be an iconic moment, and not only in Utah, but like you said, it's a World Cup year. It's going to be another stepping stone for this country to make strides in soccer, but to have Lionel Messi here. Arguably the greatest player ever to play this sport. Like you said, World Cup champ. It never in a million years would I think when I was playing that this would happen. And I'm so pumped, not only for the fans, but to be here and witness him and just so excited and can't wait for April 22nd.
If you're listening out there, do not hit up Nick Raimondo for tickets. All right, he cannot help you. Take me inside of what's like an announcement like this.
Yeah.
If you're Gozo, if you're Moon Man, if you're one of the guys that's on the team, and you're like, oh man, we're gonna get Messi, and we're gonna get Messi at home.
I think for me, there's going to be excitement, nerves, but once you step on the field, it's just another game. You want to show and prove that you belong on the same field as him. Obviously he's the best player to ever play it, but the nerves go away when you're on the field, and once you have your crowd around you, I know there's not going to be an empty seat in American First Stadium, and I'm just excited for these guys. I know when I played, I was always pumped up to play against these great players, and it kind of gave me a boost. So I feel the same is going to happen with Gozo and Diego Luna and the whole team. They're going to want to stop them first off, but they're also going to want to win.
Who were those guys for you in your career? I mean, here on the MLS stage and obviously on the international stage.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be on the bench when we played against Argentina and saw firsthand what Lionel Messi can do on the field. But for me, Ibrahimovic playing against him was fantastic. Robbie Keane was one of the hardest players I played against. The way he moved the ball, his runs in the box. But even my teammates, Landon Donovan, Clinton Dempsey, those guys were fun to play against.
The role of a keeper, obviously, against somebody like this, because that's what he's famous for, right? Some of these greats, some of the biggest stars in the sport, it's like the way they get famous is by making you all look bad, right? So stopping a shot on somebody like this, or stopping a shot on Ibrahimovic, or whoever those people are, like, what is that feeling?
It's tough, with these great players. The one thing that always stands out to me is they make the players around them good. So you don't always have to keep your eye on him. You have to keep your eyes on the people around him, because they're not just great players. They're great teammates. They make the team better. So for Rafa, it's staying composed. It's being honest. It's not guessing. And listen, Rafa's for me one of the best goalkeepers in the league, and there's no doubt he's going to perform while he's in town. And again, giving him respect, but not giving him too much respect.
Join the priority wait list for RSL tickets right now. RSL.com on the priority wait list. April 22nd, 2026. Inter Miami, Leo Messi, Luis Suarez. They're coming in to take on your RSL squad. So get on the list right now at RSL.com. As we have mentioned, this is a World Cup year, right? So how's the men's squad shaping up? Are we going to be able to make a splash on home soil?
Listen, I'm excited. The last two games, they played Paraguay, Uruguay, 2 wins. Got results against Japan, Australia. You could see this team really coming together. There's a lot. It's a big roster. You're seeing these guys that are getting these opportunities that are taking advantage of it. So come roster time, it's going to be interesting to see what Pochettino does. But exciting year to be in your home country and playing in front of your home fans with the world's biggest stage is something you dream about as a kid. And to put that crest on and to hear the national anthem and to be at SoFi Stadium for the first game, it's going to be amazing. It's something that I witnessed in '94 and when the World Cup was here in '94, and to see what happened to the sport after that. I'm just so excited to see what happens after that and to see how far our team can go.
Well, that's one of the more interesting things about this for me is, 94, the last time, U.S. hosted a World Cup. The sport, it feels like, is almost unrecognizable, like the level of play in the United States compared to what it was back then. Not that there weren't great players, but just the soccer's place in American culture now is, to me, far more significant than it was.
Oh, yeah. It's growing, significantly, like you said. I mean, from the infrastructure to training facilities to the players, to the youth teams, the academies, everything has grown to make our country, compete with the best countries in the world. And you're starting to see that now when it comes to international friendlies, and hopefully we see that when it comes to the World Cup.
And now RSL is, like you just talked about, the infrastructure, the academies, that there's going to be World Cup teams training at these facilities, whether it's, one of the big premier countries or not. By the way, Argentina, Spain, Germany, altitude here, you get an advantage. You get an advantage for the World Cup if you come straight out in Harriman, Like, it's really interesting to see. Not only is the United States on a different level, but here in Utah. I mean, I grew up like 10 minutes up the road from here, and this is a sold-out stadium every dang week.
It really is going to be a different year of soccer, football in Utah and America. And, we might not have games here, but you're going to really feel what the World Cup is with the watch parties. I know RSL's, thinking about doing a lot of those and activations around the city. We'll be involved. I'm sure you'll be able to watch these games downtown or around wherever you're at, and obviously Messi coming again, the big news today, and so excited about that. And we can not mention Sun from LAFC and Mueller from Vancouver also we're hosting them here. Chucky Lozano from San Diego. Big World Cup stars that play with these teams, and the league is continuing to grow, and we're starting to get more and more players into this league, and it's so fun to watch.
Luna's going to be on that World Cup squad, right?
I really hope so. He's this last year really pushed him into a good position in my eyes. He scored this last game. He's a fighter. He's somebody I think that this national team needs. That he has that dog in him that I love, and has that American spirit. So I'm pushing for him. I'm hoping he gets on that plane.
When we talk about the identity of American soccer, for like a guy like that, he feels like kind of one of those catalyst type players, and that's why I'd like to see him on this roster. But is the identity of American soccer right now, as we round into a World Cup year, is it clearly identified, or is this team still kind of figuring out who they are?
I think we're on the right direction. I think we had some hiccups, with the turnover of with the new coach, but we're finding that identity, that culture, what it takes to put that badge on, what it means to represent the United States, and it's not just coming into camp. It's not just playing for a good club team, across seas, and you have a big name. It's putting the work on the field. It's coming together as a team. It's knowing what it means to represent, your country. And these last two games really sold me on that we're on the right direction.
What's Nick Raimondo doing with his day-to-day now, since you're not training all the time?
Nick Raimondo thought he was going to have his feet up on the couch, but he is busy. I'm chasing my kids around. I'm coaching, for RSL with the Monarchs, and running a nonprofit organization, making soccer more accessible in our communities.
Stay tuned for everything happening with RSL. This announcement today is huge. Leo Messi, Inter Miami are coming to America First Field April 22nd, 2026. RSL.com for tickets. Nick, thanks for giving us a couple minutes.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Sean.
That's Nick Raimondo, the RSL legend, one of the best ever to play in goal. Sean O'Connell Show right here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Time to have a special conversation. It is that time of year, every year. We are lucky enough at Broadway Media, and ESPN 700, of course, is part of Broadway Media, to help out in some tiny little way with our friends at the Road Home, who really are doing God's work. It's incredible stuff. In partnership with John Watson Chevrolet, the Road Home is helping out your neighbors in need. Corey Watson and Rachel joining us here on the Sean O'Connell Show to give us a better idea, some details on the initiatives going on at the Road Home right now. Corey, Rachel Felton, welcome. How are you?
Doing great.
Happy to be here.
All right, so let's get down to it. Like I said, every year we're lucky enough to be part of the Road Home Mediathon, the Road Home Radiothon, When is this happening? What can we do to get things started?
Yeah, so we have our annual holiday mediathon coming up next month on December 18th and 19th. We're really excited and super grateful to have, of course, you all involved and the Rocky Mountain Chevy dealerships as well. And I'll toss it over to let him tell you a little bit more about that.
So we're starting right now at the Chevy stores. We've got trucks on the showroom floors, and we're ready to take donations. We've been doing this for about 14 years now, and we love doing it, and we are excited to caravan back down on the 18th and bring all our stuff.
It's really an incredible thing. We've done remotes from the dealerships, and I can't tell you how heartwarming it is, how great it is to see these pickup trucks with a bed full of new, slightly used blankets, coats, shoes, hats, gloves. Rocky Mountain Chevy dealers make it easy for you to donate, and of course the Road Home makes sure these things get into the hands of the people who need them. Road Home's emergency shelters, housing programs. It really is something that's been a part of the community and a huge help in our community for a long time. Rachel, is there anything this year different? Anything that you need that maybe we haven't talked about in past years, or is this the kind of stuff that is just a perennial thing?
Yeah, so I would say, anything seasonal is always really, really needed and really great. So coming up here into winter, so coats, boots, hats and gloves, things like that, thick socks, anything that, would help keep yourself or folks warm when they're out and about in the elements are always really needed. We're also always in need of new underwear. And another sort of random one, but one that's very needed, is towels. And so we take all sizes and conditions as long as they're clean.
There are a lot of people out there who are like, man, I just cleaned out the closet. I just did this, like the fall cleaning, the winter cleaning. I still want to help. I still want to donate. December 18th and 19th at the Road Home Holiday Mediathon, the Connie Crosby Family Resource Center in Midvale. We're going to do the thing, right, where we get a bunch of donations. That's still happening this year, right?
Yes, absolutely. Sure is.
I love the competitive nature of that, because we here in the sports world, obviously, we want to beat the competition. We want to make sure Broadway media stations get the most donations. So I just wanted to make sure we're still doing that. Corey, as far as the participating dealerships, is this all up and down the Wasatch Front? Does it have to be right here in Sandy, where I'm at today, in Salt Lake City? Well, where can people donate?
Anywhere from Ogden to Spanish Fork and from Park City to Willa, all up and down the front. We are all taking donations. There's 12 of us, and anything is needed. We take it. We put it in trucks. We do contests between the dealerships too, like you guys. We don't really mean to, but it turns into a competition to see who can get the most stuff. And I got to tell you, at my store, when we fill up a truck, there's nothing more fun than cleaning another truck and bringing it in so we can fill it up and then doing it again and again. And there's been times when we've had 4 or 5 truckfuls on the showroom floors and it's spilling all over the place. And that's when it really becomes fun, because you realize what you're doing for the community.
All right, now you've sparked my competitive nature. What is the all-time record for how many trucks from a single dealership you've been able to take out there?
I don't know that I really know the answer to that, but I know when we take them, the truth is there's a few trucks that don't have a lot of stuff in them, and there's others that are so full they have to bring 2 or 3. I know I've taken cargo vans before and filled them up, and we slap a big magnet on the side, and it's just so much fun. But those trucks that aren't very full, we need to encourage all the people in those communities to really get out and donate, because this is a real cause that needs to be looked at.
You probably have boots, shoes, blankets, hats, coats at your house that are not being used, that are not valued. Maybe your kids grew out of them, whatever. The Road Home and Rocky Mountain Chevy dealers are going to find people who need them and get those coats, hats, shoes, boots, blankets, whatever, to the people who need them. Help them out, help us out, and make sure we can set a record this year. Let's do that. That's the goal. I'm setting it today.
Good goal.
I want 2025 to be the largest donation year on ESPN 700 from Broadway Media and for the Road Home period. We can do that this year, Utah. We can do that, Salt Lake City. Let's make it happen.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Sounds like a good goal to me.
Yeah.
We're going to chase it. Corey, Rachel, thanks for being with us today. Thanks for all you do. We look forward to December 18th and 19th, the Road Home Mediathon.
Thanks for having us today.
Thanks.
Lots left to get to here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Don't go anywhere. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. BGR gift card, Burgers Grilled Right. Burgers Grilled Right from in Sugar House. A gift card if you are willing to answer this question. If you're able to answer this trivia question. Spence Checketts is messing with the audio.
I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Because I cannot hear you.
I can hear you very loudly, yes. Yes.
I got nothing in my... You know what? You do your thing.
Just Spence Checketts and the driver coming up next. Real quick, trivia giveaway. This goes all the way back to our conversation with Gordy Chiesa. LeBron James back in action against the Utah Jazz, season 23. And we looked it up on the show. How many NBA players were born after LeBron James started his NBA career? What is the percentage of NBA players born after LeBron started his NBA career, according to the semi-official answer we gave on the show earlier. 877-353-0700 for a BGR gift card. We're at America First Field down here in Sandy, home of RSL. And the Sean O'Connell Show was broadcast from here live today. The Drive with Spence Checketts will be broadcast live from here today. And Spence Checketts is here. I think, Spence, we could probably do a little crosstalk.
I can hear nothing.
Just take the headphones off and you'll be able to hear me talk.
Can you hear me talk?
Yeah.
This is really weird.
Yeah. Spence,
Okay.
Spence is holding his headphones like a microphone.
I'm going to do my best to – I'm just going to assume that I'm on air because, I mean –
You are.
You're and the other issue, have you done on-site interviews today?
Yes.
I know you have, but did they use these headphones?
Used that exact headphone.
And they could hear them okay?
Nobody said they couldn't.
Huh. Well, anyway, hello, Sean.
Maybe
How are you?
it's a Spence Checketts problem.
Big soccer guy over here, Sean O'Connell.
That's right. Look, Leo Messi coming into this building is going to be the second biggest thing that ever happened in this building after me being here today.
So Sean O'Connell 1, maybe Paul McCartney 2?
Nope. Paul's 3.
Paul's 3 after Messi.
Yeah.
But let's be clear. Sean O'Connell 1, Messi 2, Paul McCartney 3.
Yes.
Okay. The Holy Trinity, as we call them.
Journey 4.
Was Journey here?
The Snow College National Championship game of 2008-5.
How many times have you been to an event here at the stadium?
Probably 10.
10 times?
Yeah, I like it here.
Including a soccer game?
Yeah, a couple, probably like once a year soccer game.
What's your preferred, tactically, how do you like to see soccer played?
Fast.
Fast.
And aggressive.
Up the flanks, speed up the flanks?
I actually like right up the middle.
Right up the middle.
Yeah.
So you're a possession guy.
Absolutely, and I want lots of headbutts.
Lots of headbutts.
Yeah, I'm Zinedine Zidane school of soccer.
Good poll. Is there a preferred formation that you like to see a coach utilize when you're watching a soccer game?
I'm like a Bronco Mendenhall 3-3-5 kind of guy.
3-3-5 guy. 5 attacking players. Okay, I like it.
Why not?
Good job with Ewed, by the way.
He's great.
Entertained me coming into the studio today.
Yeah, Weddle is he's coming to town for his second game of the year. What a great pleasure that he'll be up at the University of Utah again.
Love it. I love the I think it was his kid doing the jersey reveal. He's like, if he does, he's going to learn a hard lesson from
How
me.
funny is that, man? Just like, because there are literally parents. I mean, you can find them on social media. There are a myriad of these guys who are, their kids are going and getting recruited. And they're like, oh, you get to put on the jersey?
Yeah.
Can I do it too?
Yep.
And their dads and uncles are posing in the jersey with the kid, in the full uniform with the kid.
It's cringy. Let the kid have his moment, man.
It's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then at the opposite end of that spectrum, you have our guy, Eric Weddle, who's just like, you're not going to put on a jersey because my name's on the back of it.
That's what that was my favorite part. Your last name is attached to me, young man. But
you know a little bit about that pressure.
Oh, as far I mean, I always say let the famous relative be famous. Like there's no reason to insert yourself into any of that. I know a little bit about that pressure, but it's all good. My father, of course, behind building the stadium, that was a labor of love, man. I gained a new appreciation for watching him traverse that space, and I know he wishes he could have continued on as the steward of the club, but very excited about where the Millers are at because obviously he worked with them with the Jazz as well. So they've got a lot of work to do on the stadium now with the calendar change, that's for sure. I think we're going to see probably a little bit more of an enclosed approach because I know you've broken down the MLS calendar change today quite a bit.
Actually, twice.
Yeah, no, I heard it. It was dynamite.
And you know what? To be transparent, of course, I was not fully. I think that's kind of a really high-level, pretty cool decision being made by MLS right now to get themselves on the same timeline as these other leagues around the world so that the transfer windows are not so convoluted and crazy.
Well, wow. Well done. I don't know how much of that you know or believe in, but
for real,
it was good filibustering.
Doesn't it make sense?
It does.
If you're trying to make your league, and of course the MLS should be trying to do this with their league, be thought of in the same conversations as Serie A and as La Liga and as the Premiership. Shouldn't you try to do things the way? Shouldn't you copy what they're doing?
You should,
including their timelines.
And I can tell you, back in 2004, when we actually started this whole project, my father and some of the other owners, like Lamar Hunt back in the day, like kind of some of the big dogs that own teams in other sports, they were pushing for it. This is an endeavor that's been kind of pushed for behind the scenes for 15, 16, 17 years now. And the concern has always been, well, what does it mean for the cold market, the markets that have cold weather, like us in Colorado? And I mean, if you think our winters are bad, Northeast, teams up there.
Minnesota has a
Minnesota. I mean, so the solution is to take that long break, which I don't love, and there will be more matches here than there have been in the past where it's going to be cold and snowy, and you got to figure that out. But to your point, in order to attract the best talent, you have to align with the international schedule. So we'll see. I mean, it's a growing sport. It's a growing league. I was never one that was like, okay, let's just keep growing this thing and we're going to be on par with basketball and football. No, like that's never going to happen. Can you entrench yourself with a footprint in our country with enough people that like soccer and not other things? Because that's the other conversation is, what are you doing competing with football, right? Like college and pro football. Truth is, soccer fans are soccer fans.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them are like, and this isn't true for all of them, but a lot of soccer fans only really watch soccer. They're not like watching soccer and then wondering if Ohio State beat Rutgers, So is there enough of them in this country to maintain the interest during the calendar change, even though you're now going up against American football, which is interesting?
Well, we'll see how it all plays out. I think it is a good decision to be made. The trivia question, you were fiddling around. I don't know if you heard it. How many, percentage-wise, what percentage of the NBA was born after LeBron James started his NBA career?
So LeBron James has been playing 20.
This is 23.
This is 23. 20%?
20, according to Google, which is always exactly scientific.
It is
25%.
25%. That's a wild stat.
Imagine you're out there trying to compete with people who were born after you started playing, not playing the sport professionally at the highest level.
No, that's. I felt with the way you asked it, the number had to be high. 25% is higher than I thought it was going to be.
I also looked up just for the sake of it, because the NHL is a very young league as well. How many players in the NHL are under 23 years old? 17% of NHL players are under 23 years old.
I remember Vince Carter was the last player to retire that was older than me. And when he did, I'm like, it's over.
Yeah.
Now I'm older than every NBA player after Vince stepped aside.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely older than all the NBA players, and I think most NFL players also.
Yeah, we're old, dude. That's the deal. I'm older than you, but you're getting there. And you have 3 girls, and so the gray in your beard is just going to continue to,
They have aged me so rapidly.
They have. But you're hanging in. You're doing all right.
That's not fair. It's not the young girls in my house that have aged me so rapidly.
Careful.
It's not.
Okay.
I'm just going to put
just leave it there. Just leave it right there. I think that's the way to go.
It's not the 6 and under girls that have aged me rapidly in my house.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe just let that one lie. Good to see you, Sean.
Stay tuned for The Drive with Spence Checketts. He's coming at you live from America First Field in Sandy, because Leo Messi and Inter Miami are coming to Sandy April 22nd, 2026. Thanks for listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.